well, probably top 10, top 8. And then we've got Carter Freak, who is a newer runner. He's got a 42.38. But in the middle, all close together, like 30 seconds apart, Brian, Debu, and Oral are at, between 39.47 and 40.17. So I think it could be really good. Let's get started.
Yeah, it looks like we're off, and we got 3 of the 4 runners going Pharaoh first. That's interesting there. I'm surprised to see all the people going Pharaoh first for their first run in the heat. It's a definitely more dangerous route to take. It is faster if it's done correctly. A nice rush coil there from getting sniped, but sniped right back onto the rush coil. I've actually never seen that before. That was pretty cool.
I do know that Rush Jet will kind of like warp to you when you take a hit while it's out. I've never seen Rush Coil do it like that before.
Yeah, unfortunately, Debu did get knocked into the pit. So the good news is, if you die on the first screen of Bright, or if you die on the first screen of Pharaoh, or effectively die by being knocked down the pit, you get a mulligan on your first run. So Debu makes it back over the pit, and he will be on his way as well. And unfortunately, Hypa takes a death on the spike platforms in Pharaoh.
Yeah, unexpected from one of the better players of the heat, but I don't know, those opening run jitters. You're on a big stage. I could see. But a second one. Oh, hopefully she can shake this off.
That definitely looked like an input error. That looked like it was meant to be a slide.
So you talked about the effective death of falling in the hole, and the reason for that is the players need to get across that hole to get the balloon power up. It's the reason why you either go to Pharaoh first or second. It's going to be super good in some of the later stages. But first, I guess, we got a Pharaoh fight here for Brian.
Yeah, and a Bright fight for Orel. They're both in it at the same time. Let's see who comes out first here.
Oral's fighting Bright with they're both fighting with the Buster. That's their first stage, so they don't have anything else. Manipulating Bright Man's health is important during that fight, and staying close to Pharaoh important during that fight. So Oral's going to finish Bright just a little bit faster. It's tough to compare the 2 stages, but it isn't really until they're out of the first 2 stages and into Ring where all the routes sync up, and then we can get a feel for who's really ahead.
Yeah, it's tough because having gone through Pharaoh first makes Brightman's stage quite a bit quicker if you do it, correctly. If you don't mess up any of the balloons or the Pharaoh strats on Brightman. So doing that is easier said than done. But going to Ring.
Okay,
interesting. I haven't seen this before.
Yeah, I'm a little bit unprepared to talk about this, but we do have Pharaoh shot. We do have the balloon. We just don't have the flash stopper from Brightman. So you can, I don't know. You feel like you can do the stage pretty okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you never use flash in Ringman, so I guess it makes sense. Meanwhile, unfortunately, Hypa did take a game over in Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, if I'm Hypa, I'm just trying to minimize mistakes, get through this run so that I can start the next runs as quick as possible. That's a really, really painful game over. It's going to be about 5 minutes before Hypa's finished with this stage, and that's a pretty tough start to come back from in this run.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing you would absolutely reset. Maybe even on the first death you would reset. Because that's the better thing to do to produce the best run you can in your 3 hours. But to sort of encourage everyone to get on the board with something and to get a bit of a race going at the start, we've asked the runners not to reset their first runs here. And so I would forgive a reset, honestly, if you game overed in the first stage, but it looks like Hypa is sort of honoring that agreement for us and is going to continue on.
Yeah, and I can see why there's not like an exception for game overing, because then you could just torpedo it and jump in pits 3 times if you don't like how it's going so far. I definitely get that as well.
All right, pair of Pharaoh Man fights. Both runners staying very close to Pharaoh Man to sort of discourage Pharaoh Man from running around and jumping exactly like what just happened to Oral a couple times there. Hypa's done with this, and we got a Ringman fight. Not quite the ideal fight, but nice kind of recovery from that fight being dragged on. Sometimes you can be kind of unprepared for the rest of Ringman's actions if he doesn't die when you expect him to, and it's really easy to take damage, and you usually don't have a lot of health at that point in the stage.
Yeah, especially if you're doing some of the more optimal strats, if you're taking like the damage boost from the first ring mini boss, you're getting there with pretty low health unless you get some drops. So when that fight goes south, it's very rare that you survive.
So Hypa has, I think, accidentally chosen Pharaoh Man stage and is now opting for a game over. So this is a dreadful opening here, and so there's 3 hours, right? You can do this run, and then you got 2 hours 20 minutes or whatever to get a quote unquote real run on the board. But it really doesn't feel good for this to be your opener, right? Like mentally, it can be tough.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I was not happy with my opener in my heat, and it does play on your mind. Like I pressed quite a bit after that opener, trying to recover, and I was making some mistakes because of it, and so I definitely know how it is. So it looks like Hypa is just gonna go for. Oh wait, did Hypa finished Pharaoh?
Yeah, and then reselected the stage and game overed and is now correctly into Bright Man stage.
Yeah, I misunderstood that.
Brian is in Dust, and I'm trying to... Has he gone to Bright? I don't think so, right? No.
No, that's who I was watching when Hypa did that. I was watching Brian to see if he went to Dust, and sure enough, he did go to Dust instead of Bright.
Which stage is it where we're gonna be like, you really want Flash Stopper for this one? Like when is he finally gonna go back?
Definitely Dive Man. You can do Skull Man without. Well, no, you want Flash for Skull Man as well. So I guess right after this, I would think Brian's gonna go to Bright Man, but we'll see. And has a nice Dust fight, and Arel has a nice Ringman fight there.
Yeah, I'm trying to... So the commentator viewer is a little blurrier to make it easier not for bandwidth reasons. So some fine numbers and text is a little hard to read, so I can't just quite glance at the split names. But I think that says Brightman 7th. So yeah, we're going to Skull. This will be a fun showcase of strats here.
Yeah, that's super interesting to me. But we'll see. We'll see how Brian handles it. I mean, obviously, I'm sure that Brian's coming in with a plan. He's not doing the Skull Zip. I don't blame him for not doing the Skull Zip on the first run, especially when you haven't had any major setbacks yet. That can be a place where you can easily kind of have a major time sink in your run if you don't get it just.
Yeah, and despite being a zip, it's not one of the huge, massive, like, skip an entire screen sorts of things. It is relatively small in the grand scheme of things.
Right. And meanwhile, Debu is headed to Dust now. Just a little bit behind Aurel, mostly because of the reset after falling into the...
Oral bustering through these crushers. Ringman can help a lot with this section, but the buster will work out pretty good too. Goes for the slide, barely getting out the edge of the screen there. Nice job by Oral.
Interesting. Brian using Dustman through these screens where Brightman is typically used, and it looks like it's working out pretty well. It's not looking that much slower.
And you do have plenty of Dust ammo still for the Skullman fight, so it's going to work out pretty okay here.
Dust is one of the more forgiving ammo weapons, I guess, that in the game.
So Skullman is a pretty, well, the most predictable fight, I suppose. He's always doing something based off of what you are doing, so you effectively have control over him. The thing you don't have control over is how long his shield stays active for, and that looked like it was, I don't know, about average, I guess, maybe a little bit faster.
Unfortunately, Aurel gets trolled by Dustman there. It misses on a couple rings, And then Dustman decides to suck twice, and unfortunately, Orel could only soak one, so he had to wait the other one out. Still not a bad pace, though. Sub 10-minute split is pretty good if you're looking for a 40xx time in your first run, which I'm pretty sure that's kind of what Orel is going to want to get on the board.
Yeah, Orel's PB, I believe, a 40-17, so a 40 anything is a really good opener. I think to get within about a minute of your PB is where everyone should kind of be aiming. It's a little tougher, I guess, when your PB is like a 38 or whatever, but I think that's kind of like a good sort of ballpark for players to aim for.
Oh no, and Orel takes a death from the skull zip. He went a little bit early there. And meanwhile, Hypa takes a game over in Ringman. Yikes, that hurts.
It's weird. I'm seeing like some really solid play from Hypa in terms of just like general execution, you know, like the way the slides are being chained together and stuff. It's just the mistakes that are happening are just absolutely like brutal.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm not like, I know Hypa as the name and as someone who is very good at the game, but I'm not as familiar with Hypa as some of the other people. Has she just been taking a break from Mega Man 4 lately?
Well, her PB was from 2017, so take that for what you will. I don't know either, but I'm guessing it's just some rust, you know. Maybe some people, they hear about a tournament and they join in like kind of more for fun or whatever than necessarily like, oh, I gotta practice up and get in tip-top shape for this thing. So people come in with different expectations sometimes.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just I was curious because I haven't seen Hypa around playing lately. So anyway, we've got a skull fight from Orel, and we've got a dive man down for Brian, and we've got Carter Freak looking like we're trying to get Carter Freak on the screen here as Debu walks into Skullman.
David just a little bit behind Oral, getting the kill there. Nicely done.
Yeah, in terms of time, Debu is actually ahead of Orel. He's got a 12:04 split there versus Orel having taken that death. And that's because of Debu doing the reset in Pharaoh Man. Mm-hmm. Nice skull zip there from Carter Freak.
So the zipping is something you'd see a lot in Mega Man 2. Mega Man 4 has some code that instead of, you know, like, well, it does still, like, I guess, it try to eject Mega Man from the wall because the zip is still possible. But also, if the game finds you in a wall, it kills you. So you need to get a hit from an enemy to get some invincibility frames, and that will actually protect you from that and let you execute a zip. And due to the nature of how rare it is to be able to get into a ceiling and have an enemy nearby to give you the iframes, your ability to effectively zip in this game is mostly just the one there in Skull Stage.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we've got Brian doing Drillman stage with no Bright, which is just crazy to me. I pretty much switched to Bright on the first screen, or on the second screen, I guess, and keep it all the way to the boss. So watching him do that was pretty impressive.
It's really good for stopping those rocks from falling from the ceiling, but the Skull Shield does a pretty good job of protecting you from them. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like just stopping them with Bright is, you know, a better option.
And stopping the ladybugs, too, is another one.
Who's the sixth person in the heat? Today we've only got 5, so the 4 we have on stream, as well as who are we missing currently on stream?
Hypa.
Hypa, yes.
Yeah, subbed in for Hypa, just because Hypa was probably because Hypa was having just a little bit of trouble there, but I have a feeling we've definitely not heard the last from from Hypa as far as making noise in this heat. I feel like a run or two, and Hypa will be right back in it and be putting up some monster times.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting if Hypa has come in like completely rusty. How much of that rust will get shaken off in 3 hours, right? Like, I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see how that turns out. So Brian is now finally in Brightman stage, 7th here. Debu's fighting Dive Man, jumping with the Skull Shield to kind of get those, like, kind of come at him diagonally so that you can get your short-range shield hits without running into Dive Man and taking a mountain of contact damage.
Meanwhile, Brian using Rush Jet strats in Brightman. I guess maybe that's why Brian has chosen to put off Brightman for this long, so he can just Rush Jet through the whole stage, which I guess is not the worst idea in the world. It's probably faster than waiting on the grasshoppers.
Yeah, it's just a matter of having gone slower without the bright, I guess. But it's definitely like easy, right? Like it's a lot easier. So if you're okay with using like the skull shield to protect yourself and drill or whatever, then you've got yourself an easier run for not too much time loss.
Yeah, and good point in chat. A lot less lag with the grasshoppers not jumping.
Debu is making use of that flash stopper in Drillman here, keeping everything frozen. Does manage to freeze the turrets in time, but not letting them shoot. If they get even a little bit of time on screen, they will all fire a projectile, and it will kind of zone you out of landing on the platforms.
Brian fires his Pharaoh shot just a little bit too early to tag Brightman a second time there, and he gets flashed. Hopefully he can prevent that happening again. Meanwhile, Aurel's one hit away from Dust, gets him down.
Brian did end up getting flashed, but does finish off Flashman. Brightman, sorry.
Yeah, so Brian and Aurel are going to be walking into Toadman stage about at the same time. Meanwhile, Debu is in Drillman. Let's see how he handles him here.
Drillman is a notorious source of RNG, can decide to just dive down just like that whenever he wants, and it's like a 4 to 5-ish second time loss every time it happens.
Oh man, getting trolled by Drillman here.
The one thing you can do is what Debu is doing, which is when he goes down, you can time out roughly when he's going to pop back out by doing 5 full jumps, and so you're at least getting the next hit as soon as possible. Also, apparently, if you stay close to Drillman, similar to Pharaoh Man, he's slightly less likely to dive, I've heard, but it's not nearly as reliable as it is on Pharaoh.
Yeah, Pharaoh and Dust both have that as well. Meanwhile, we've got Aurel and Brian both moving through Toadman stage here. Toad is one of those that's not super difficult, but it's super punishing when you take a death. Little mistake when you're really trying to optimize like the waterfall room or this room that Brian's in right now, and a death is really, really painful and hard to come back from because it's just so much time loss.
Oral on the final screen here. Safely reach the boss. Brian's already there. Toadman is not going to be much of a threat. We'll try to jump on you, and contact damage is a concern, but he's always going to jump right where you're standing, so you know where he's going to go. And as long as you keep pressing that B button, he's not going to get a chance to attack you at all. So definitely a sort of low point in terms of difficulty right before you head into the Cossack stages, and the difficulty spikes way back up.
Yeah, Cossack 1 and Cossack 2, notoriously some of the most difficult stages in the game, both casually and in the speedrun. Meanwhile, Debu making his way to Toadman. Debu's one of those one of the players that I've seen some really, really good play from, and some play that is certainly kind of better than what his PB would indicate. He's one of those runners that we talk about being kind of on the verge of a big PB. I believe his is in the low 40s or the high 30s. I can't remember, but he does a lot of strats that are kind of more advanced than what his PB is. It's just a matter of putting together a run. Same with Arel, and I believe Brian as well. I've seen some really good play from Brian here as well. Carter Freak, I think, is a little bit newer maybe to the game. I'm not sure on that. Carter Freak's one of the ones I'm not as familiar with.
Yeah, a newer runner. A couple minutes back in the PB.
Yeah, Carter Freak is walking into Toad now, not that far behind all these 40XX and high 39 runners. So doing a great job of keeping pace here.
Absolutely. So we're coming up to, I mean, we're already done some tricky stuff in Cossack 1 because of the ice physics. But we're getting to this vertical screen. It's very risky. If you fall here, you're going to probably fall a long way down. And you're probably going to have used a bunch of your balloon ammo, which is super important for the rest of the Cossack stages. So let's see if Brian can get through. I think he's going to be okay. Yep.
Yeah, one of the hardest parts of this entire stage is not climbing too fast on that ladder, being able to restrain yourself if you don't do the damage boost strat. If you do the damage boost strat, then just doing that is one of the harder parts of that stage. But yeah, it's always tough to make sure that you don't climb too fast and get bonked off the wall.
Felt it.
Brian on the Mothraia fight. Oh, it was a really good fight. And then missed that last shot. It's so easy to miss shots. That was a really good fight from Oral, actually. The ring hitbox is teeny tiny. I think it might actually be just a pixel. And Mothraia's hitbox is also pretty small and waving up and down just out of reach. It is a much harder fight than it looks.
Yeah, especially when the moth kind of shoots down or dives down instantly. It can really throw you off your game, especially if you try to adjust for it and you get the runaway ring that kind of goes back over your head and back, throws you off rhythm really badly.
Debu's turn for that scary vertical climb in Cossack. Actually putting the balloon into the wall and having it be deleted there. It's always a little scary, but you do have 8 frames. Oh, going for the damage boost strat. Grab the ladder, though, so gonna need to improvise a little bit here. Jumping over the clamper. I like it.
Very nice job by Arel and Brian on the second screen of Cossack 2 with the left side balloon strats. And Arel gets the difficult damageless strats in the spiky block room, or whatever it's called. While Brian used the safer rush jet strat. So Arel's caught up to Brian a little bit there. And actually taken a slight lead, which that doesn't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, lead's a lead.
Looks like Brian's maybe taking it back by a handful of frames, but needed the additional menu, actually, so my mistake. Oral was already switched over. Is ahead by about half a second or so. Really fun race on the left side. It's maybe going to get broken up here by the RNG of the square machine.
Yeah, that's another reason I said it doesn't mean a whole lot, because you're walking into square machine, which can, change everything, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
So the square machine will give you a 3, a 2, or a 1 in terms of the number of passes before it finally forms itself. Looks like Brian's going to get 3 this time. You can tell by the speed at which it kind of goes by the screen. And looks like the patterns have kind of canceled each other out here, as long as the players, can finish off the boss. Oh, it's still so close.
Yeah, both runners getting 3 and a 2. One got a 2-3 and one got a 3-2, but both got the perfect 5-2 hits on their respective cycles. So really, they're exactly even with where they were walking into that boss.
Yeah, and they, I think the important thing is they did the best they could with what RNG gave them too. So execution was really on point.
All right, there we go.
Exactly, very impressive. Good race between Brian and Orel right now, and W's not out of it, and really neither is Carter Freak, because things can change really quickly. in
That's the red, that's
the
red.
Wily 1 and Wily 2 stages as well.
So Brian and Oral are both doing the auto scroller here in Cossack 3. There isn't even like any major lag reduction strats to be done here. It's pretty tame. So I think my eyes are turning over to Carter Freak starting Cossack 2, and Debu on the square machine looks like opening up with a 2 pattern here.
Well, nice balloon climb from Carter Freak there. For if he is in fact a newer runner, then that's pretty impressive to be able to get that clean the first try.
Oh, sometimes that's how it goes. So
Yeah.
he's low on balloons now, right? Like this is a tough situation to come back from.
Sorry.
Low on balloons, he'll probably wait here and just do a single balloon after the enemies. Well, no, he's going for the balloon strats again. He gets them. He's going to have to take the extra ammo, though. So that should save him from having to do any crazy backup strats.
All right, second try here.
That's
It's a oh my! I was gonna say once one mistake happens, it can get in your head a little bit, and I hope that's not about to happen to Carter Freak. Actually, does game over here. This is I mean you're gonna get your balloons back, I guess.
And meanwhile, Debu takes Square Machine down, going into Cossack 3 as our lead runners Orel and Brian are making their way through the final screen to the cockroach.
And a quick check-in on Hypa is in Toadman stage currently. Still trying to shake off some of that rust. Carter Freak this time around, the room goes just fine. Is not afraid to take those hits, those damage boosts, even at low health. And, oh no.
Orel
Dude.
falls through the platform. Unfortunately, that might have been a lost jump input. It looked like he kind of fell out of his full jump,
I knew
like
it's
right
gonna
in
happen,
the right at the
something
beginning of his
stupid,
jump. So I'm
and-
guessing that's what it was.
Now this hurts for a lot of reasons, right? Like it's a boss you probably weren't expecting to die on, and then also there's no boss checkpoint in the Cossack stages here, so
man.
you go back quite a ways, and it's an auto scroller,
Die to cat.
so that is
I
I don't
just
know,
jumped
like
into the
a
stuff.
minute plus time loss.
At least, yeah. I mean, dying to any of the Cossack or Wily stage bosses is so painful.
That was not a bad one.
The only exception possibly being Wily Machine,
I guess
because you can go
improve
right
on
back
it.
into that fight, but still, if you die to Wily
it's still
Machine, your
pretty
ammo is
stupid.
probably
Could be avoided.
in a very bad place at that point, so it still stands for that, even, in my opinion.
So Carter Freak
lots of maybe-
has
maybe more.
very low health, can't afford to get hit, and it's really easy to take hits on the Square Machine fight, but it looks like going sort of safe down and around to ensure that last hit and secure the kill. Nicely done by Carter Freak.
No.
Yeah, it looks like
that's not
Orel's
how
going
you
to come
do it.
back and have a good
bad
cockroach
timing.
fight. Except he fired that Pharaoh shot just a little bit early. He's going to have to do one extra Pharaoh shot
Dude.
here. And just
Oh,
missing
that was
the
so
cockroach
bad,
twice.
sorry.
Yeah, that can... It's kind of tight on that second hit on the second cockroach to get
Like,
the timing right. You
I
got to
messed up
wait a little bit
cockroach,
longer than you
so
naturally
easy,
want to.
Like,
Because you won't
you
have a
can
full
mess
charge
up
if you
Square
don't.
Machine,
So.
but
Meanwhile,
not
Debu fighting the
Why that
cockroach
thing?
as well. Gets the
Why cockroach?
double hit there. Gets the full
This is
charge.
so
Looks like
annoying.
he's going to have a perfect
At
cockroach
least
fight
I
here.
survive again.
And he does.
Nice.
No, my Pharaoh wasn't
The one where
actually-
you hit the one above you with the charge shot, then you throw one diagonally down to the right, and effectively hit 3 times with your charge Pharaoh
That's
shot.
unfortunate.
Is one of my favorite strats in this game.
I have
It's nice to
E-tanks,
see
so
it
that's
pulled
nice.
off so perfectly by Debu there.
It's okay if I screw up something.
Yeah, so that's exactly the ideal situation. It looks like Brian's actually using Dust against Cossack. That's the second person I've seen in the heats use Dust instead of the
Yeah.
Buster. I think it's probably a little bit
No,
easier and
it's not
safer.
fair.
So I don't blame him. It's a little bit more difficult to time those charge shots probably. But that also means that you have to
okay,
get
game.
some dust ammo
I definitely
Um,
jumped and nothing happened.
from the from Wily 4.
Hmm.
Or sorry, Wiley 3.
A good thing that I don't need a lot.
There was a good question in chat.
Yeah.
What is the timer in the middle? Apologize for not answering earlier, but that's the countdown. They've had 3 hours. They restarted at 3 hours, and that's how long the players have to get their best run on the board. So they're doing kind of a no reset run here first. That's what we're in the middle of and getting towards the end of now. And after that, they're going to be able to use this time however they see fit. They can reset as much as they want, get their perfect first stage or whatever they want. You just want to produce one run that is the best that you can. We're going to take the best runs from all 55-ish players, and we're going to take the top 32, and they are going to advance. They've qualified for the Cossack Cup tournament.
And as long as there is time left on that timer, the runners can start new runs, and they can any run that they've started during that timer, they can finish even if the timer has expired. So that's
Sorry, Brian has made the call here. Pulled out the Rush Marine and Wiley won.
Rush Marine strats. I'm pretty sure that's the first time we've seen that. I don't know if that was for swag or if there's some time save there that I'm not aware.
It's gotta be slower. It's gotta be, but it is. It's definitely cooler, right? So that's important in its own way.
Thing in the game.
And meanwhile, we've got
Alright, it's fine. We have time save there too.
Laurel just moving into Wiley 1 here. We've got Debut not far behind.
I mean, we can...
And Brian's going to be fighting Met Daddy. So let's see how this goes. Met Daddy, and he's actually starting off with Buster and going to swap to Ring. Maybe that's to conserve a little bit of Ring ammo. Not have to take as much since he used more Dust.
He's going to have a bit of trouble getting this done on this next phase, I think. That's kind of your ideal fight. There's a bit of RNG with how long the boss stays vulnerable. Yeah, it looks like he's going to need a fourth one here.
Yeah, the Met Daddy can choose to give you a short pause before he jumps after he comes out of his out from under his helmet, or he can give you a long pause. You want the long pause because that allows more hits, and it allows you to get a 3 cycle instead of a 4 cycle. Unfortunately, he was not playing nice with Brian there.
As long as we are alive.
Debu in the bathtub. Couple of scary jumps here with these spikes. If you want to really push it, you can kind of land on this upper platform at the end of the screen. He's going to play it safe and go low, which I definitely respect, right? A death is so bad, and landing on that ledge is like, I don't know, like half a second or something.
I stopped going high.
Yeah, and again, especially when you are trying to just put up a time. I mean, I can see going for that later because it's not one of the tighter tricks, to be honest, but underwater mechanics do have a way of getting away from people a lot of the time, so they're a little harder to just get under wraps, in my opinion. Anything really underwater, so I definitely get it.
Alright, Carter done with the Cossack stages. We got a Met Daddy fight here for Oral and Debu, very close on the bottom of the screen now, actually. Looks like they both got the same number of hits on their faces, but Oral's ring goes to the right. Ooh, can he clutch this out? I'm not sure.
He's gonna take an E-Tank. I don't blame him for that at all. You definitely do not want to die to Met Daddy. It's one of the most punishing deaths that you can take. You gotta go all the way through the water section, the Yoku block sections, that long hallway with the little Mets.
Alright, Debu pulling ahead with a really good kill on the Met Daddy there. Actually had the ring out and then retreating as Met Daddy jumped towards him and kind of jumped on top of it. It was a nice little finish there and has moved on to Wiley 2. Brian's already here at the end of it, moving into the boss fight.
Maybe not.
Yeah, choosing not to use Rush Jet there.
I just want one run. It's gonna be a 42.
In order to, I don't know if he doesn't have any left, or if he just decided not to use it. But he's not going to use Drill Man to despawn Taco Trash's hitbox. It is a little faster to not swap to Drill Man, but he is kind of getting bullied by Taco Trash a little bit. Got to be careful. He does get him down though.
I have to die on Kakarot.
Yeah, it's a tough fight to dance around all those hits and the platforms moving up and down. You can't really rely on just standing on that little ledge in front of him, right? Like if a projectile comes, you gotta move, or you're gonna get hit. So it's really tough. Brian did a pretty good job of improvising there.
Hey, you have to select.
Yeah, definitely. Meanwhile, we've got Arel and Debbie both moving through Cossack, or sorry, Wily 2. Debbie's just a screen ahead of Arel right now. Debbie using the hypostrats with Rush Jet in that bat room. Let's see if Arel does as well. I think Arel tried to, but missed it. But he still got the jump, so he's fine.
So Brian didn't make too much use of all those refills available to you before the refight, so you know, I would have thought we would see a bit more with Brian's strats. So I don't know. I haven't seen his ammo situation. I'm just kind of irrationally worried for him as he begins the refights.
Brian definitely went to Skull first and not Pharaoh, so it is cool seeing someone using just completely different strats than what we've become accustomed to so far in this tournament, in these heats. So it's really cool to kind of see what Brian's going to do next.
And it's interesting too, because in a lot of cases, like these are some like, it might just be personal preference, but it could also be like some pretty calculated speed versus safety trade-offs, right? Things that just work better for you and don't really hurt your time all that much. Could absolutely really help you in a situation like this one.
Yeah, it's true. Brian does unfortunately get flash stopped twice by Brightman. Gonna move into dive. Let's see what kind of RNG he gets. Meanwhile, Debu and Arel are both pretty close here, going into Wily 3. Arel takes a few more of the goodies off of the first screen than Debu does, though.
And Brian gets a pretty early dive from Drillman here.
Just hope I'm not gonna mess up.
His missiles are having to chase Drillman up into the air, so he's not quite getting his hits as often as he would like, but does finish with only one dive. That's, you know, you can walk away feeling pretty happy with that, I think.
Meanwhile, Debut and taking the more standard route of Pharaoh first.
Like, the war room is not bad.
Arel is going to be doing that as well. Meanwhile, Brian deals with Dive Man, moving on to Toad. And Carter Freak is just moving through Wily 2 at the moment.
Pharaoh done for Debu just as Oral's fight begins. Both of them, Oral does miss one shot with Dust. I think it's still going to be okay for the skull fight. And I should check in on Hypa, see how her first run is going. Looks like she's in Cossack 3. Has been, yeah, not the run she would hope for, I think, so far. But I expect to see so much improvement from Hypa over these 3 hours. I'm pretty excited to see what happens.
Oh, definitely. Meanwhile, it looks like Brian's just going to use the standard Buster strats against Pharaoh. Not a bad play, especially when you don't have the dust. Probably the second quickest way to kill Pharaoh behind using dust. Misses a shot though. So hopefully the Dustman refight is nicer to Brian than it was to me last night, or 2 nights ago.
I just died. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, your reason. Oh no, Oral dies to Brightman.
Oh yeah, that hurts. Hopefully he's not close to a game over.
Out of Toad, I guess. So is gonna have to rely on the Buster fight here. 1 lemon and a bunch of charge shots will help you avoid those HP thresholds where you get flashed. Well, Wily Machine for Brian now is got just enough ring. No, is gonna have to Buster a little bit here.
Oh, he's tiny down.
Yeah, almost did the charge, 1 charge shot too many, but then realized that he needed to change the drill. Good catch there.
This is a difficult fight. You gotta pick your spots. You're hoping for more of those diagonal shots. Those are where you kind of get your opportunity to jump and get high enough to deal the damage.
Yeah, if you're feeling really frisky, what you can do is you can actually jump and damage boost off the straight shots, then jump immediately using your iframes to get extra shots in. That is probably
This is a disaster.
strats for once you've gotten your one run in. You've gotten a good time on the board.
Debu gets one suck from Dustman there. He goes ahead and sacrifices the health to cancel it, and then gets the refill right on top of the teleporter. So pretty nicely done. Going into his Wily Machine fight. But our eyes turn to Brian. Sliding into the capsule fight. Has got plenty of Pharaoh, plenty of health.
Yep, we could see a sub 41 time here for Brian, and just got to finish it off with Wily Caps. Nice double there.
Yeah, you are at the mercy of RNG in order to even try to get a double, but also you need to be really well, react well and time your shot well. That was really well done by Brian. 40-43, going to be the time for his first run on the board with something within a minute of his PB. That's a great start.
GG's out for Brian. Very nice first run there. That's got to be there. That's got to have Brian feeling pretty comfortable here at this point, having a 40-43 on the board right away. Meanwhile, we've got Debu done with the Wily Machine, moving into Wily Capsule himself. He's got, as long as he doesn't have any major catastrophes on Wily 4, then he's got a 41 in the bag.
Absolutely. There's a Wily Machine kill for Oral as well, hot on Debu's heels. Though, looking at the timer, just reminded that Debu did reset early and started a new run. So,
correct. Yeah,
going to be probably 42, at least for Oral. We've seen Capsule do some mean things to some runners in the last heat, so this is not a free win or whatever, right? It's not a matter of time before this is over. So let's see if Debu can clutch this out here. It's a good start.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right, there it is. A solid 5 hits, 1 hit each phase. Didn't really get much chance for any doubles. Did the kind of the best they could with what they gave, what the game gave them.
Very nice time there for Debu as well. Probably not as comfortable with that, but definitely gonna put him in a pretty safe place, I think, for making it if he doesn't get any other runs. But I doubt that's the case. Meanwhile, we got Arel fighting the Wily Capsule as well.
I was, I think, trying to refresh their Pharaoh shot a little bit to make sure they stretch it over the course of the fight.
Very nice double. Gotta be careful, though. Arel is one shot. Gotta avoid this.
How did... The capsule was, like, right on top of Arel. I'm surprised that it wasn't, like, a double kill situation.
Yeah, I think Arel might have been sliding when the capsule spawned, and that might have been what saved him. I'm not positive on that, but very, very close there. Too close for comfort, but he makes it out.
Yeah.
So three pretty solid first runs there. I know Arel's not happy with the 49, but he's got plenty of more time to get something that he likes on the board. And kind of in our little group of people that plays together, Arel's kind of in the same circle of people that I play with a lot. And he's... we kind of joke that he's the king of race PBs because he, like, almost all of his PBs come in races. So this is a really good setup for him, I feel. I think he's going to be just fine.
Awesome. Can't wait to see it. Carter Freak has a PB of 42-38, so is not too far off of that coming out of Wily Machine heading into Wily 4. We've got
right, as long as I don't mess up on Wily, this should be a
top
45.
left now, who is, is very far behind their... I think these are comparing against personal best as well, which none of the other runners are doing on their splits. I think they are doing splits for this event only, so is... yeah, don't be too misled by some of the red numbers on Hypa splits.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, it might make sense for Hypo just to kind of take some time on this run to kind of reacquaint with all the strats. But yeah, Carter Freak fighting Wily Capsule. Could get a sub 45 if he hurries. Well, maybe not. Well, nice double.
I need to double hit now.
Had to move to dodge the shot, and then was on top of Wily. Couldn't throw his projectile straight down. It was a little bit low on ammo here.
One more hit.
You can get this.
He's
He's got a
Wily?
charge ready to throw. Oh, he goes for it.
GG.
Nice.
45. That's going to be a 45.09 for sure. Get your GGs out for Carter Freak. Clutches it out with the low health and the low ammo there. Takes Wily.
All right. I gotta start improving this.
Now
'cause I
all
can
the
do way better
runners
than that.
have some decisions to make, right? They've got their initial times. They have a rough idea of what they're capable of and what they would like to aim for. And that's going to determine how you approach
I didn't make a memory. I know,
the first
like just
2-3 stages.
add like a
whether or not
flashlight
you
attachment to
reset,
your
these
arm.
kinds of things.
Problem solved.
It's,
Oop, I
kind
didn't
of
insert my
interesting.
splits.
This format will ask that of these players.
Yeah, meanwhile, Arel back into Brightman, jumping right back into it. Looks like Debu's kind of stepped away, taking a little time to reassess. That's honestly not a bad idea a lot of times. It can really help to just kind of take a minute or two and step away in these 3-hour heats where you're feeling pressure the entire time. Just between runs, kind of step away and take a break.
It felt absolutely unplayable.
How come there's only 5 runners in the heat? They're not distributed perfectly evenly. It was a lot of players' schedules and stuff mattered the most, I think, in terms of constructing the heats. So this is just when people were available. That's all.
Yeah, Friday at 3 p.m. is obviously not going to be as favorable of a time slot for a lot of people as, like, say, the night heat tonight or any of the evening heats, really. So that's probably why this one in particular has 5 versus many of the others having 6.
Hypa in Wily 2 has gone pretty smooth so far. We'll see which runner's going to be the next one to kind of get a run started. Sometimes you put that first run on the board and then you want to beat it. So you're a lot more picky about your first 2 stages. And sometimes you can get stuck resetting a lot, trying to get that really good run.
Okay, the only way
Oh
to
no, Hypa
is to reset.
having trouble
Here's
with the
way
Hypa strats.
That's my strat.
There we go. Second time's a charm.
Brian done with Pharaoh Man. Debu teleporting in, starting a new run here. Really good mashing coming out from Hypa.
And you can see the high-level strats
Very
here
uncomfortable
from
doing
Hypa. You
slides
can
there.
see that Hypa knows this game very well. It's obviously just some rust, I think, is all this is.
Yeah, for sure. The slide chaining and the jumps, like
so
when you spend
good.
enough time watching Mega Man runners, you can just see it. You can just see all the little rough edges that have been smoothed off. The way they move just looks so smooth.
Yeah,
And I see it in
like
Hypa. It's got to be just rust.
Okay, I think I'll
Had to be
grab
so
a large
careful
refill
there.
and
Hypa was one shot pretty much that entire taco
freeze
trash fight, and
rounds. I think
had
Maybe
to
I'll
do
just
some
play it safe and
avoiding
grab
of damage, but eventually got taco
2
trash
big ones
out.
at the start, but nah, I know
A sign of good things to come, perhaps.
we'll be fine.
On to Wily 3. Meanwhile, Debu has crossed the gap, picked up the balloon.
That's not
And
right.
it looks like Brian, I was going to
I'm
say,
supposed to press up.
has got a run out of the first 2 stages, but I forgot Ringman is second for Brian, so we'll have to keep track of that.
Oh, I have full dust. Sure.
Yeah, that's gonna continue to throw me off probably the entire heat. I'll be like, what? He's in Ringman at
It's
3
the game
minutes.
over.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, having a bit of trouble getting the mini boss skip there, hitting the pole down with a bunch of Pharaoh shots, and then taking a damage boost and sliding over. If you don't land on top of the pole, and then you don't quite jump up again in time, then you'll get hit again. And this is a stage where you don't want to take extra hits. Your health is at a premium because of all of those damage boosts you need to take to skip these mini bosses.
And meanwhile, Pharrell fighting Pharaoh, Debbie walking into Pharaoh,
Roman be
and
acting
Brian
my
walking into
ass.
ring. So this is nice little sync here between Arel and Brian. They're both pretty close on their timers. Debbie did take a little bit longer
What?
between
That's not
runs.
what you're supposed to do.
And Debbie
What the heck?
does Pharaoh first versus Bright
You're
first
supposed to
for Arel. So.
jump up, not into.
Well, he's about a stage
all.
behind the other two right now, but nice kill there from all of them, really. So we've got Arel walking into Ringman, we got Brian walking into Dustman, and Debbie walking into Brightman. So it's just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, Hypa's walking into every man fight here. Is on to Bright currently, hitting with the Skull Shield, switching to the weakness.
5 hits are very
It's
good.
Toad's weapon. Something flush? Rain flush?
Can you do anything?
I don't know
else
some
with
of the
that?
names.
Yeah, I think it's called Rain Flush. I can't remember for sure.
It's the green one, that's what I know. Alright, Drill Man. Timing out.
Okay, let's see.
Drills with those jumps.
6 dives.
Menu midair, and
Nice start.
not quite there with that shot. Also took a hit too, so health is an important resource throughout all of these refights.
No. Yeah.
Does that count?
But I believe on refights that counts.
Yeah, it does. Let's go.
Yeah, it does. So it's not that big of a deal. Yeah,
Okay.
so that actually is not the end of the world for Hypa.
That's
Could have been a
more
lot
for
worse.
Shadix.
Brian using the charged buster to shoot through a whole bunch of these Dust Crusher blocks and then mashing down the rest. Was not on a good part of the
How can
cycle
you not
there
add
to
that?
continue forward. So if
That's
you've got Ring, there's
just
a really nice thing you can do
atrocious.
where you wait just before it's about
It's
to
so
crush you,
bad.
you fire the Ring and slide, and that will kind of let you scoot through. But I think I'm not sure what the strat there, with Buster, is it possible to do the same cycle skip?
I'll post it too. It's that good.
Dustman now for Hypa. No suck so far, just a lot of jumping around. Perfect.
Yeah, nice dust. Very nice dust. Must be nice.
Arel gets the kill on Ringman. You always, if you're doing, all the damage boost, then you come into that fight. Being unable to get hit by almost anything. Definitely not being able to get hit by contact damage, which is where Arel was. So getting that fight down the way that you want it, getting the extra hits with the fair shot stuff. Nice done. Nicely done. Oh, Hypa cannot get hit.
Be super
Play it
careful.
safe.
I'm not that.
Oh.
Okay. We're good.
Nice job clutching that out. Moving on to Wily
Do you
4.
believe it? I'm only gonna lose 10 seconds in these refights. Yeah.
It looks
that's
like
10
Arel
seconds.
took a reset. I missed what happened, but I believe it would have been in Dustman stage that whatever happened to
Okay, let's
Arel, but
finish
Arel is
strong.
back to Brightman. Meanwhile, we do have Brian on Skullman, and we've got Debut just finishing up with Brightman and moving into Ring.
I'm guessing that first screen in Dustman where those guys are popping out of the pit, that can be really easy for one of those to get you, and if they do, you're probably going in that pit.
That's
It's
pretty
possible. Arel does use Brightman there, so
I got it like every.
that's not a
every
usual
one.
death for him. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Alright, Wily Capsule fight here for Hypa, who went for the double hit, but didn't quite get the first hit immediately, so was hard pressed for it, went for it. Gets 2 in 2 phases here.
Hello?
2 and 3 now. Oh,
He's not dead. Cool.
there we go.
There. Very nice. It's going to be a 5409 or a 5408.
54 now.
I think I'm pretty sure 5409 for Hypa. So get your
5410,
GGs out. That is Hypa's
Have to note
first
that.
finished run with a time of 5409.
That's my best time yet.
I can't wait for like a
Swear.
5 to 10
We're
minute
done.
improvement or something to
Okay,
come
let
out.
me-
I feel like coming.
Oh,
Set
it's
up
going to
my
happen.
keyboard
There's no doubt in my
controls.
mind that's going to happen.
Brian's looking for an improvement here. He's got a run going for sure. He's done with Skull now. 4 stages complete. Still ahead.
Select? Oh no.
Yeah, it looks like Brian's going to be about
Select is not
13, 12 seconds ahead. Or sorry, about 10 seconds ahead. Brian splits on the
let's go.
fade out.
Wait. This is the keyword run.
We're all in the Brightman fight now. We've talked about some of the boss fights themselves, but I don't think we talked
That was a
about
pretty
the
good
players
fight
are
right
trying to
there.
stand in the middle of the room at the end. Well, first you're trying to kill the boss in the middle so that their little explosion sprites leave the screen sooner. But then also you want to get to the middle. It skips some of the animation that plays out, and in a couple cases, Pharaoh and Dive, you can actually do a little jump and get Mega Man right where he needs to be to skip even more of the animation, and it adds up in a surprising way.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, if you get all the right pixels versus not going for them, you're probably going to save at least over the course of the entire run. I'd say at least like 10 seconds,
Mhm.
maybe more. Meanwhile, Debu did a reset as well. He's back in Pharaoh as Brian continues to just kind of these workman-like runs. I don't think Brian has had a death yet. If he has, I've missed it. But he's kind of working through these at a nice pace, playing it safe for the most part.
Yeah, that consistency will help a lot in a format like this. You've 3 hours seems like kind of a long time, but I don't know, you'd probably know better, I guess, that when you're down there playing, it can feel like it goes by pretty quick sometimes.
Oh, definitely. In my heat last night, or 2 nights ago, when I got the double KO with Wily,
Okay.
I looked up and there was only 45 minutes left, and I was like, oh wow, I definitely thought there was more than an hour left. So that was definitely a little concerning. It gets away from you. I mean, this run is 40 minutes plus long for most people, so you've got to really kind
all
of
my jumps. Alright.
have a good strategy for
Forget
which
a
runs
good
you're going to
time,
take, which
so-
runs you're going to reset, how often you're going to reset, that kind of thing.
Here's Debu doing the balloons in Brightman stage. Like you said, Debu does like a lot of the really tougher strats and is due for a PB here if they can just execute on all of them, and it looks like that went pretty well in Brightman stage.
Yeah, from what I can see, I'm not super familiar with what a good grasshopper room with balloons looks like versus a bad one, but from what I could tell, it looked pretty clean.
Not fine.
Yeah, one you can walk away from is a really good start, because it is very
Alright,
easy
don't
to,
fuck-
put a balloon too
mean,
high or
don't
something, not land on it, leave yourself not enough room to get under it, and
Select the good
run into the
stage.
ceiling and stuff. Lots of ways it can go
Not
wrong.
messed up. Not messed up the balloon.
And meanwhile, Aurel gets a 40-55, or sorry, a 455 split there out of Pharaoh Man. That's a pretty good split there for Aurel. And oh no, W gets flashed by Brightman, takes a death. I'm not sure if he's going to continue here. It looks like he might be planning to continue. I don't know if he's going to have enough Pharaoh ammo though.
We'll find out. I generally am
Can
in
you place
favor
the balloon?
of less resets. There's a lot of Mega Man left to
I was
play
pressing
beyond
B and nothing
these first couple
happened,
of
so-
stages. There's a
like,
lot of,
what?
maybe not a lot of RNG, but there's some RNG, and giving yourself more attempts at that part of the game to kind of nail those parts can
fine.
sometimes, I think, be better than making sure that you nail the first 2 stages or so.
Yeah, I also think it depends on what time you've got on the board already, and what your how much time you
Almost
lost. So that probably cost him about 20. I can't see really because it's blurry, but
It was like the
that
super
looks like it
short
cost him over 20 seconds there, that death. And his time on the board right now is 41.27. So that's effectively his 27 gone there. So
Okay, I guess I'm going this way.
it's just kind of a calculation of is it worth it to me to keep this
That's
run
terrible.
in the second stage versus resetting, and it's a tough choice.
Terrible. I have to say.
It really is.
I think there's also a factor too of just kind of like how it makes you feel. Like if it really bothers you that you're on a run that's 20 seconds behind and you find it kind of like
Ugh.
influencing your thought process, influencing your play, it can be worth it to just throw that run away for a clean reset and, be able to play the way that you want to.
Yeah, and runners vary in that regard. Like some runners are totally fine just doing no reset runs all day
Alright,
and never really
select
having a
best,
PB
fine.
chance. Other
Not
runners,
select
like
all,
myself, are super reset heavy, where they reset a lot of times when they probably shouldn't,
You're not selecting.
and everything in between. So it really just depends on your mindset and your personality as well.
Carter Freak is going to
There
have the
we go.
mindset of someone who can defeat Ringman
So we died.
perfectly with that
we
low
didn't
health.
die
Nice
there,
job
but
finishing that out. Is
I
on
messed up the fight, so
to
we
their
might still save
fourth
something.
stage on their run.
Let's go.
And Brian, I was going to say, oh no, reset back to Bright. And then I remembered, no, he does Bright's 7th. His good run continues here, still ahead of pace.
Yeah, 7, I think 23 is a very good
Ah.
ringman split there for
That's a
Carter
shot.
Freak. I mean, that's especially for a new run. Like that's a really good.
What?
That's a really good ringman
Okay.
split for me. So, like for someone with his
dude.
PB, like he could get a
Come
massive
on, squishy
PB
every
out of this.
It's like the second time.
Just
I
got to play
just
clean. So the
died
Carter Freak's
again.
definitely one to keep
Hey,
an
what's
eye
up,
on,
man?
in my
That's a good
opinion.
look.
Yeah, he
I'm
maybe
playing-
new to
I'm
this
playing
game, but
pretty
I've definitely seen
terribly
Carter Frick's
right
name on some other speedruns too.
Pretty
So
bad.
has
Please
already
don't
got
reset.
experience elsewhere, and it's just a matter of time of making
I
kind of
died
translate.
on
And
so many
I
stupid
think we're probably
plays,
going to see
you just
like
cannot imagine.
it's probably going to be possible to see Carter Freak improve even over the course of these 3 hours
I
as a
die
player,
on the
right? It's
worst
just still in that kind of like
place in
raw
the
state,
game.
and it can be really fun to actually see that
I
kind of
died on Gakuro.
process happening.
Yeah,
I've died on
meanwhile,
this combo
Carter
bit,
Freak
and I died
doing
on
some
Bright
very
on the
difficult
fight.
Pharaoh
But he's
strats
1 HP or something.
through the beginning of the Dustman stage. So, I mean, Carter Freak, another one, doing some really advanced strats early
So we got
into his
time to
time playing
save.
this game. So,
That's the thing.
it's really impressive to see. And it looks like he's going for
Like
fast
my run was
crushers
pretty
there. He
strong.
didn't quite
I
get
got
it. But
1932 A robot, and
Yeah, it was a little bit slow earlier on, and
that was good until Cossack
had to
3.
just kind of improvise through the rest
like
of it, which is
everything pulled apart.
sometimes harder than the hard strat that you practice, just because
Everything
you've
was
practiced
bad
it.
after
Whereas if you're making it
Except
up
the
on the fly,
death on Skull
it has its
Man,
own
yeah.
challenges.
We just might just forgot that.
Brian onto his 8th
And
Robot
a
Master,
very,
starting
very
Toadman
bad
stage,
Dustman fight, too. It's not even
1747-ish on the
RNG's
clock,
fault,
coming
it's just me. I just messed
coming
up,
out of
like 5 shots.
the first screen. I don't know. I don't know the stage very well exactly,
I
but I
think
feel
we
like we're
have,
gonna
like,
get
still
an
2 hours, I
18
think,
something
so
8 Robot Masters here.
Not sure about the time right now. I think it's
Um,
about 2 hours. So.
Maybe.
It's
Mm,
I just need one run.
no,
Like, even
no,
if it's not
18.
PB
He's not going to
packs,
get an
yeah,
18
just one
XX,
for
but
something.
he'll definitely get a 19. A low 19, I would say.
Been a while.
Carter Freak done with Dustman, finishing the fight at a really low health and ammo, but importantly finishing the fight.
What?
Yeah, and Dustman, one of those kind of
that's
RNG gates. Luckily it's relatively early in the run, where it
I
doesn't
got
hurt you
gold
too much
Cossack
to reset
too.
there, but still, if he decides
In
to,
my
he can just
first run.
really destroy your run.
Because I keep my goals, I just copy my goals and
Well, Toadman's dying here. I
Fake
feel
news, please.
isn't the 8 Robo split like right when he explodes?
No, so
Ah.
most people split when Mega
like
Man
3
comes
seconds
back
or
down and
something.
lands on the ground after
I was
jumping up. Some
very
people
proud
split
of
on
this.
fade out, but
very proud.
still a very good 8 robo
Even
time.
more
1906, or for Brian, it's going to be like a 1909 because he splits on fade out.
Well, that's the split, but if you're doing the category, Does that end on the explosion?
Oh yeah, I think the category does end whenever he explodes. I could be wrong on that. I've never really run that specifically, but I think the category does probably end on.
Well, that's the one that not only makes me correct, but also it gives Brian an 18. So that's what I'm gonna roll with.
There you go.
Regardless, it is a really great pace halfway through the run here for Brian.
Definitely. And the good news is I don't think we've seen anyone miss the Pharaoh jump since the very first run, so that's good news.
I want to check in on Hypa, see if she's got a run going. She's currently in Ringman stage, plus 6.7 seconds behind, but not behind the splits for this event. Behind her personal best, which is like a 38.16, so is on absolutely great pace into the third stage.
Yeah, being 6 minutes behind Hypa's PB means that Hypa is like, 6 seconds means that Hypa is like 5 minutes ahead of the heat peak.
I think it's more. I think it's like 14 minutes.
Well, it's a point in the run, just because Hypa game over once on the first stage. But yeah, overall, if Hypa finishes 6 seconds behind PB, then yeah.
All right, some runs late into. They're a little bit late, I guess. We're about halfway for Brian, and Dive Man's pretty far into the 8 robos for Carter Freak here. Brian's going to be the first one to get into a boss fight. Mothraya, again, difficult fight. Wiggling hitbox, very small hitbox on your own attack. Oh yeah, did you see jumped up for a hit there and then saw the diving attack and decided not to attack? You don't want a stray ring going all crazy. I like it.
That, and you don't want to waste ring either. Because ring ammo is not trivial, especially if you don't get the ring refill from the first screen in Cossack 3.
So got it pretty close there on health, but it does secure the kill.
Yeah, meanwhile, we have Arel in Ringman stage. We have Debu in Dive Man stage. Looks like Debu has possibly made up a little bit of time since that death in Bright. Looks like Debu had a good Dustman stage. It's so hard for me to tell.
28 seconds behind currently.
Okay, so about even with where he was in Brightman stage after the death. So at least he's keeping pace. As long as he doesn't lose any time, he should be making up a lot of time later if he doesn't take the same deaths.
A good question in chat, also answered in chat, but I do want to take the time to answer it again on stream. How does the heat work? Are they trying to get the best time they can in 3 hours? How much can they reset? Yeah, you've basically got it. 3 hours to produce your best run. If you've got one, you can improve it. And when the timer hits 0, you can either continue the run you're on or reset and do one last run. And we're going to take the top 32 times, and those runners will advance to the Cossack Cup main tournament.
And Brian, currently 20 seconds ahead of his Heat PB on a very, very good pace here, with potential to make up even more time later, because I don't think his cockroach fight was perfect. He did have a very good square machine fight outside of RNG, so if he gets better RNG here, he should save a little bit more time on this split as well.
Carter fighting Dive with Dust is... I didn't realize, but that was actually taking a lot of damage from Dust.
Yeah, Dust is Dive's secondary weakness, so if you run out of Skullman ammo, you can always swap to Dust.
Brian on the square machine does get the kill. I missed what patterns? Brian,
I believe it was 2-3.
All right, pretty typical. Debu on a run here is went back about 20 seconds or so in that death in the second stage and decided to play it out. Is trying to claw back some of those seconds, and there are opportunities to do exactly that. So I think it's the right play.
Yeah, and I think Debu took a death or had something happen to Dive Man because he made up like over 20 seconds in Dive Man stage alone.
Yeah, I think I can't tell if it's a 0 or an 8, even on my zoomed in view of their stream. They're either 9 seconds back or 1 second back. I'm glad we got Brian's audio. This is one of the best Mega Man songs, and I don't say that lightly because the Mega Man series is filled with absolutely phenomenal music.
Yeah, I have kind of an unpopular take on that. Mega Man 4 is my favorite Mega Man game of all time. The music isn't in my top 3 though. The music is kind of in the middle of the pack for me. I know that
where I'd put the game overall, but this track though.
That's my opinion's kind of the complete opposite of a lot of people's opinion on that. But yeah, that's kind of, you can get into a complete 3-hour discussion just on music, debating the Mega Man music against each other.
Yeah, I've maybe made a mistake. So let's do the responsible thing and turn things back around to Carter Freak's boss fight here against Drill Man. Was a little bit too far away, and so the missile, instead of just like continuing straight just a little further, decided to just dive down, curl around. Very frustrating sometimes, is at low health and having to deal with another dive here. One more, nice.
Meanwhile, Aurel gets 2 sucks from Dustman, but he's got more than enough health to deal with it. Soaks both of them, and he's going to be out. Meanwhile, Carter Freak has killed Drillman and Carter Freak in line to have a very, very good 8 robo time here. He could get a sub 28 robo time, and for, I think you said his PB was like a mid 42.
Yeah,
that's in line for a very good time.
All right. Everyone cheer on Carter Freak. Brian as well into this cockroach fight, looking to get the last hit here. Didn't quite get the optimal kill, but did a nice job of sort of recovering and finishing it out.
Yeah, it didn't look like he really went for the optimal kill. He might just be playing it safe there, which I definitely don't blame.
Oh
no. That's a punishing death. Anything in that waterfall room is a really punishing death because this is a really long first screen. Takes a while to get back.
So Debu was like, 20, 30 seconds behind, then made up a lot of that and is now maybe that far back again, and so is continuing on with the run. So they know, like, Cossack 2 has a lot of room for improvement, and they're going to play for that.
And meanwhile, Brian continuing to work his way through these Cossack stages. Cossack 4 looking pretty smooth so far. A lot of people kind of see Cossack 4 as a trivial stage, but there are a lot of little minor time saves that you can do in the stage that can really add up.
There's also the either the rush coil or the balloon jump or rush jet or whatever you need to do to get to the bottom path, that using whatever item you're trying to use in that shaft, that very narrow space there is pretty difficult. It can cause some grief.
Oh, definitely. And going with the dust strats again.
Here's Carter's 8 robo time here. Just over 20 minutes on the split. That is a great first half of this run.
Yeah, especially versus Carter's first run there.
Oh, Brian was actually able to jump up and hit Cossack at that height. I wasn't sure, but Brian had no fear. Finishes off the fight. Here's Hypa. I want to check these splits. We
Hypo-
did have a death or something here because we're now a minute behind PB, but that's still like 39-ish pace here for Hypo.
Barely landing that jump over that pit. I was a little bit scared for Hypa there.
Carter Freak is in Cossack 1, as well as Debu, actually. And their timers are pretty close. Oh, Carter gets tagged by those enemies rising out of the pit. They move so fast.
Yeah, you have to be sliding into those gaps and then jump to avoid those things. And if you don't quite get the slide off there, or you short the slide a little bit, something like that, that's what happens, unfortunately. That's one of the reasons that Cossack 1 is just so difficult to get through clean.
Thankfully, the checkpoint was right there, so not nearly as costly a death as it could have been. Doing the despawn on the little skull guy, entering the vertical climb, is now really close with Debu, actually, so this is going to be kind of a fun little race to watch.
Definitely, and if you're gonna die on this stage, that's the place to do it versus like anywhere else.
Both players have traversed the vertical climb, heading into the Mothraia fight.
Nice fight so far for Carter. Oh, Debbie misses a couple shots there.
Yeah, Carter Freak missed one shot, but it seemed like it was almost like unfair. I was like, he's got it. Oh, darn. But still, overall, only missing one shot, I think, is still like a Mothraia fight you can be pretty happy about.
Met Daddy playing nice for the meantime for Brian. Doesn't quite get that last shot off. He's going to have to get some good RNG to finish the 3 cycle here, and he does not. Unfortunate 4 cycle there for Brian, but it was a short phase. He wasn't under his helmet for very long, so that's good.
Right, that's random too. I think it's either 3 or 4 seconds. That seems too long now that I say it out loud. I thought those were the numbers that...
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but that was definitely a short pause.
Carter onto Cossack 2 with the balloons.
Oh no. Yeah, Debu takes a death in Wily 2, Cossack 2, and it seems that was the last straw. At that point, I don't think he could probably beat his previous time, so he went ahead and reset.
It's hard to let those go sometimes when you're that deep into the run, but if it's the right strategic decision, then it is. So Debu goes ahead and does that. We'll see what he's able to come up with here in his new run.
Meanwhile, Hypa makes up a little bit of time in Drillman. And not just time over the heat PB, but actual PB.
Right, yeah. Which is very impressive when your PB is a 38.01. Here's Carter Freak on the square machine. Ooh, a little bit low on that shot, and also is low health. Oh, just barely gets tagged.
Oh no, that's another costly one. Yeah, dying to square machine is also super costly. It's not as bad as some of the other Cossack and Wily bosses dying to them, because there's not near as far to go to get back to him. It's not like dying in Cossack 1 or Cossack 3 or Wily 1, but it still does not feel good.
So we'll see what kind of pace Carter is on coming out of this. I think could still potentially be ahead. We'll just have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Brian continuing on just like one great run after another, dealing with Taco Trash there with the no drill strats. Nicely done.
Yeah, and as punishment, Carter immediately gets a 3 movement square machine.
has the health to take the damage boost, and it was almost gonna sort of fade away there with that one shot, but it's gonna need to work a little bit harder to finish off on the next phase.
Yeah, I can't tell if Carter snuck that fourth shot in. Yeah, he did actually. So Carter did sneak that fourth shot in there at the end, so he's only going to need 3 shots.
All right, nicely done. Hypa is about to come out of 8 Robot Masters here with a low 19. Really good pace.
Speaking of really nice paces, Brian in very good position to improve his time. Walking in to the refights at about 35 minutes flat, dropping into the chamber. So let's see how he does on these refights. This might be bordering on sub 40 potential. Actually, I don't even think it's bordering. I think it is with the same pace, sub 40 potential.
Yeah, I just doing some math on being 40 seconds ahead and comparing their PB to their best time. I think you're absolutely right. So we'll see what some of these refights with the Robot Masters have to say about this pace so far. Everything's gone well.
Like we're getting Aurel back here on screen for W, as W went back to the beginning of the game.
Carter on Cossack 3, Hypa going with the Buster here on Cossack 1. Another boss defeated for Brian. He's using rain right away here, actually, so I think he's going to need to do something else, otherwise you get flash here, right? Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of built into Brian's stats or strats to take 2 flashes here. I think he just surrenders the flashes. Honestly, actually 3 flashes are built in if you use all Toadman.
Alright, here comes Drillman. This is one of the big question marks in terms of RNG. Who didn't get the timing right on Drillman popping out.
Drillman being very nice so far, though. He's going to get a 1 cycle, probably.
Ooh, okay.
There we go. Very nice Drillman there. Got a little hairy at the end, but it ended up good for Brian.
Yeah, cleaned it up. Much like Carter Freak just cleaned up these cockroaches in Cossack 3. Had a setback, but is still ahead on good pace. Looks like Brian's going to get a health refill from Pharaoh, whether he wants it or not.
I assume he probably wants it. With this base, just making sure you secure it and you don't have to lose a ton of time to Dustman if he decides to be really mean to you.
Ooh, really good Spike Room from Hypa.
And really nice Dustman for Brian. Very good RNG for Brian here in this refights. And he's walking into Wily Machine with a very, very good shot to have sub 40 pace here, I think.
His PB is a 39.47, I believe, so if you're sub 40, you're also knocking on the door of an actual personal best here.
I think it would be tough for him to get that at this point, just based on how long it's going to take to take down Machine. Yeah, PB is probably out of the question, but sub 40 certainly is not.
Oral and Cossack 2. Let me see. I think something bad happened to Aurel and Cossack 2, because I do see them in Brightman just now, so it's a shame the stream didn't load in, so we could have seen them while they were deep onto their run.
All right, we got Brian going for a sub 40 time here. Gonna have to have a pretty good capsule fight, but it is certainly possible, very much possible.
Here we go. Position for double hit, gets it.
Double.
Oh, that could have been a double-double. Oh, come on now.
Double here, and he's maybe got it. Oh, he gave him a long pause.
All right. Well, our speedrunners, you know, we love our
Oh,
nice minute break points, but the truth is that 40:09 is still a fantastic time for Brian.
Yeah, I think that was actually a 40:08. I think he tagged him at 40:08. I could be wrong, but yeah, get your GGs out for Brian. Very, very good run there.
We do have some volunteers who are going over and double checking the times on all these runs, so we will figure out whether it is an 08 or an 09, and it'll be added accordingly. Great job. That's 2 great runs back to back. Like, on the one hand, you're like, it's going to be really hard for me to beat this run, but on the other hand, you know, you did what you came here to do.
Yeah, definitely. Brian just looking really consistent right now, and that consistency is one of the most important things in a tournament, especially where you just get one race. I mean, you don't get to reset over and over again like the heats. So it's going to be so much different when you're in the live races than when you're doing these heats. So I think that really gives Brian an advantage if he can maintain this level of consistency.
Carter Freak is in Wily 1 here. Looks like maybe skipped a split. Let me zoom in and see if I can figure out just what those numbers say in terms of their pace. A minute ahead heading into the boss fight for Wily 1. Wait, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm looking at the... Still halfway through Wily 1, sorry.
Come on. Get up there.
Yeah, it's really tough to read the split.
I've got a separate thing loaded up where I can look at it and zoom in just to make sure. So just let me know if you got a question about any numbers.
And meanwhile, nice cockroach fight there for Hypa. Gains a little time on actual PB. Hypa got a very good run going here. Obviously, still a minute behind actual PB, but very, very, like you said, blowing the initial run out of the water right now.
Yeah, I mean, her PB is a 38:01, so a minute behind that is a 39:01, is poised to be the fastest run we've seen today, among the fastest we've seen in all of the heats. Carter Freak and the Met Daddy takes a hit. I'm a little worried about this health, but also Met Daddy is low on health as well, yeah.
Yeah,
1, 2.
Yeah, as long as you've got Met Daddy down to 2 shots, you're fine going into a new cycle there.
Just don't push it too hard and mistime your shot or whatever.
Exactly.
All right, Brian's right back at it. We saw like 2 great runs back to back, you know, deathless and no resets in between, if I remember right. See if you can go for 3 for 3 here. It's these other runners who I think are, you know, really feeling it in the second half of our heats here as the timer is getting close to ticking down past 1 hour, 30 minutes.
Yeah, I know Aurel is probably feeling the pressure quite a bit. Burrell is right on the door of sub 40 and has had a lot of runs on pace for sub 40 with some tragic things happen. So I know that he's going to want to improve that 33. Kind of same thing with Debut. Not to the same extent because Debut had a better first run, but still. He wants at least a 40XX as well, I'm sure.
Should save some time here because I didn't get crushed this time as well.
Well, we'll see if the King of Race PBs can come up huge here. He's on to Ringman stage, kind of getting started here. I feel like it's not until you're out of dust that you can start to really feel like you got a run going. I guess you would have a better idea, I guess.
It just depends on what stages you struggle with. Like, getting out of Ringman, honestly, is kind of a weight off your shoulders. Dustman requires some tight execution in a couple of the rooms, but really the part that scares me is the actual boss fight, because, you know, for obvious reasons. But it's so early in the stage that it's not that bad. But yeah, if you get a sub 10-minute split out of Dustman, then you have a potential sub 40 run. So that's kind of the benchmark when you're going for sub 40.
Thanks, Bejlong. Appreciate it.
Hype is in the bathtub in Wily 1. I don't know. So when I first saw this stage, I was like, it's a bathroom. The whole thing is a bathroom. And then I found out
I'm really struggling getting a
other
run through
people
without dying.
also see it that way. It wasn't just me, and that was a relief.
Oh, Wily 1.
Yeah. The tiles, the pipes, the water at the bottom.
Yeah, I always thought it was a Net Factory.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's supposed to be.
Okay. But yeah, I guess I could see that now that you mention it. Like, why are there random just aquariums hanging out on the walls?
So that you can view the Met in its natural habitat. Alright, we got a Met Daddy fight here for Hypa. I think that was a 5-hit there. Big jump, landing right on top of her. Gonna have to work a little bit on the last phase. Oh, that ring didn't quite connect, but does squeeze in the last hit. Nicely done.
Only problem is, Hypa used a little bit more ring on that fight than is optimal, so might have to take a little extra ring in Wily 3.
At least it's the kind of thing that, like, you know, there's a known backup plan, right? You don't have to scramble or improvise.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Carter Freak has been on a good run and done a really good job of recovering after that mistake in Cossack something. But
oh no, Hypa takes a death in Wily 2. Luckily, not a super costly death, but it is a death.
Right.
It's about a 20-second death.
I think still maybe sub 40 pace here for Hypa, if my math is correct.
Sub 40 would be tough after that. Not saying it can't happen, but that puts it in a lot more danger. Hypa would have to play Hypa would have to play basically even with PB in both of these.
I don't know why
all these last stages, I believe.
Have enough Toad there, but
let's see if
whatever.
she can do it. Carter continuing the boss rush onto Drill. We'll see how many dives we get, how the dive missiles behave. Sometimes they do a full 360 before finally making contact. So there are some things you can do to kind of encourage these missiles to go where you want them to. It seems like Carter, like, his spacing is maybe just like a little bit off.
Yeah, generally you want to be
Pocket,
above Drill Man when you shoot a missile. That makes it way more likely that the missile just kind of, like its namesake, dives right down onto him. If the missile has to travel up to get to him, a lot of times it can fly under him and then across the side and around and take forever to get back to him.
Toadman gonna get easily dispatched here by Carter. Hypa on the taco trash, not going with the drill strats. Had to work pretty hard to get those hits, but came out pretty good. But is low on ring, like you said.
Yeah, I would suspect that Hypa might take the extra ring ammo here. Not positive on that, but might make things a little less tight ammo-wise.
Carter on dust. Just jumping around, exactly what you want to see. Nice.
She's not. Hypa's gonna just take... Okay. Does take one more small ammo than I usually see people take, so I believe that Hypa should be okay. But I'm not positive. Ring ammo is going to be a little bit tighter than it normally is for me, so it's tough to...
Carter Freak. I was going to say not too concerned about ring ammo, but I guess if something really goes bad on Wily Capsule, you would want a little bit in the back pocket. Anyway, he's on to the second phase of the Wily Machine now. Has the health to take that damage boost, but not another.
Are you kidding me? No way!
That hurts. Hopefully it's not a game over. Okay, it's not, but still, like I mentioned earlier,
I don't even have enough
dying
ring anymore.
to Wily Capsule, especially a double KO.
I basically just threw this run.
Barely
I'm just
got
going to reset.
any
It's over.
ring
There's no way I
and
can
any
save
dust,
that at
and
this
he's
point.
just gonna reset.
Without that ring ammo, there, it's just so tough.
I don't know. I think Carter still could have improved his time though.
Damn, that sucks.
He was still at a 42 something, whereas he's got a 45 on the board. I think even having to bust her down the first phase of Wily Machine, I think he still could have improved his time.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just runner inexperience showing there, right? Like not comfortable with doing something, being unfamiliar with certain backup strats and stuff.
Or just maybe wants to get more runs in, like just knows that, maybe a 20 to 30 second improvement on a 45 isn't what he's looking for. That is a possibility as well, I think.
Absolutely. Well, Hypa is set to improve by like 10 plus minutes or something here, so this is pretty exciting. Has used Skullman to deal some damage to Brightman here before switching to Toad to dodge those HP thresholds where those flashes come out. Nicely done. See how Hypa handles dive here. Yeah, going above and shooting down, like you said. Actually faced left, knowing that Drillman was going to walk towards her and kind of the missile would curl around and hit. I liked it. It looked good.
No dives. So Drillman being nice to a lot of people right now. Drillman over this entire tournament has largely been nicer than normal, I feel. It's been Dustman that's kind of been the troll of these heats so far. More him and Wily Capsule.
Yeah, that was the one that leapt into my mind. And I mean, we just saw Wily Machine do a double KO, for goodness sake, so Wily's out in full force, nice. I think. Hypa not taking the health refill here, the sign of an experienced and confident player. Or perhaps a brash one, or one who's just planning on picking up the health refill in Dusk. But look, has to take one hit there to cancel that. If it happens again, is forced to watch.
Okay.
I think I have enough health.
Gets through
Sure.
the Dustman fight. So now moving into Capsule at about a minute. Sub 40 is still possible. Sub 40 is still very possible, actually. Those refights were really good.
Alright, staying nice and close to give yourself the best angles of attack here on the first phase of the Wily Machine.
Okay.
Out of ring, like you said, was pretty low, so has to bust her a little bit here.
That takes a little bit of that time. That might make Sub 40 a little bit less likely.
And failed log.
Oh, and missing some drill shots there. Gotta be careful with health, too. Down to one.
Come on, come on, come on.
Oh, no!
The double diagonal.
Oh, and it was a small delay as well. That's so difficult to dodge that shot. That feels bad for Hype.
All right, no ring at all now. So here we're gonna see those buster strats, like you said. I'm not sure about drill ammo, right? Got
Definitely
used on
knew this
Toadman
was
and
coming.
the machine. How's that looking?
I think Hypa has enough to do most of the damage to phase 2, but not all of it. I was just watching the health mainly, to be honest.
Right.
Okay, yeah. I think Hypo should be able to get most of the HP down here if she doesn't miss. Okay, yeah. Just gonna have to do a lemon and a charge shot, or just 2 charge shots. All right, so
It's a really good second fight, honestly, considering the circumstances.
oh, definitely. Well, all the pressure's off at that point, so it's it's real easy to go back in when all of a sudden there's no pressure, but. I mean, not gonna say easy, but it's a different fight for sure when there's not as much pressure.
All right, well, 40 minutes has ticked by, but assuming Hypa has the Pharaoh shot
Okay, I'll
ammo,
finish strong. Maybe.
could be finishing around that 41-minute mark, which is
I'll keep
still
going after
a
this.
good time. Is still miles better than the first run, and I think the fact that Hypa got that close says a lot about like the huge amount of derust that has happened over the past hour plus, and I think it looks good for Hypa going forwards with the last hour 18 minutes here.
Yeah, we both said it. We both said that Hypo was gonna come in and just obliterate that time, and we're seeing it right.
Oh, the 2 doubles! Wow.
That would have been a sub 40 for
45.
sure
Yeah.
without that double KO. Get your GGs out for Hypa. That I
40.
believe was a 40. Was it a 45?
Yeah, something like that. We'll get it on the board once we get it retimed and everything.
Yeah.
A
I'll be right
13-ish minute improvement over
do
the
better.
previous run. It's
Lot
not going to
better.
be often that we get to say
Must be
that during these
unfortunate.
heats. Pretty awesome. So who else has got a ring going here? We got some identical cutscenes on the right side of the screen, but the stage order is a little bit different here. Aurel is going to Toadman as the 8th Robot Master, whereas Brian is going into Bright as the 7th Robot Master.
Yeah, Aurel on a decent pace here. Gonna have as long as Toad goes well, Aurel's gonna have a low 19xx 8 robos, I believe. Meanwhile, Brian, it's so hard for me to tell just because of the order that he does things.
Well, he's 3.1 seconds ahead of his previous run. I kind of cannot believe how consistently good all his runs have been. I haven't quite seen over the course of these heats someone do like their first, second, and third runs are all like so close to their PB. It's Brian's going to be a threat in the brackets, I think.
Yeah, Mega Man 4 is one of those games that a lot of times, especially before you're a really advanced runner of the game, most runs don't die to just being so far behind your splits that you want to reset. A lot of times the runs die to a death, and Brian just has not been dying. It's really impressive. 3 runs in a row, and I don't think we've seen a single death. He's just continuing to get on these green paces as well.
If you guys are wondering about Debu, been a while since they've been on stream. They're still taking a bit of a break, which can absolutely be a good use of your 3 hours, right? Like if you need a moment to recover and you're just trying to force yourself to play through it, you could end up playing pretty badly and not making good use of that time. So Debu's going to come back with this hour 15, hopefully, and maybe try to do a little bit better.
Nice Ringman fight there from Carter Freak, and out of Ringman again with a 723. Just getting some really good paces here to start. If he can just keep that keep these paces in deeper into the runs, he's going to have a chance to do something really special.
I think you're absolutely right. So Arel is out of the 8 Robot Masters onto the first Cossack stage, the runner furthest into the run, the Brian not far behind. Ooh, Carter Freak recognized that Pharaoh shot was not going to connect with that enemy and was able to turn back before they got hit. They very likely would have ended up in the pit there if they had continued forward.
Yeah, and that's the danger of the Pharaoh strats here. They are faster if you nail them correctly, but it's a lot of times difficult to, easier said than done for sure. Bright is definitely...
Stopper is certainly a lot more reliable through that section.
Yeah.
Brian into kind of the scary part of Toadman stage. And I've always felt like this whole stage was pretty hard, but the slides that you can go for on this section are pretty scary. And it looked like Brian opted to do just a little bit of walking here and there, cut some of them out, drastically increases your consistency on that screen.
Arel's scaring me with some of those jumps in Elton Alley there. Getting very close to getting tagged by some of those little pit trolls. Oh no, and he grabs the ladder, does a heads-up damage boost for a backup to get through. Tries to balloon over Squishy, unfortunately gets tagged, just barely doesn't make it over. He's going to have kind of a hairy moth fight, got to be super careful.
Yeah, you get really focused on landing your shots while you have the opportunity when Moth is down, so it gets really easy to just take one of those shots that comes out. Yeah, there's one, but Orel knew he could take that hit. Nicely done.
At that point, he just needed one shot on Moth. You can take the hit and assure that you can get one shot. It's worth it. Carter, unfortunately, had to sit through an entire suck animation from Dustman there, just because he did not have the health to absorb it. But still, gaining time over his previously posted run, and that was a sub 10-minute Dustman.
I think that says 2 minutes ahead of his.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Previously posted time was his first run, and he couldn't reset. Arel making his way through Cossack 2, difficult stage. A lot of potential for just run-ending mistakes on the stage. Unfortunately, takes a tag there from the spike block, but is able to recover pretty nicely. I would assume Arel's going to take the safety health here. Oh, he's not going. Gotta have a really good square machine since he didn't take that.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. It is, it's dodgeable. That attack that comes out, right, it is within the player's control to dodge that thing and still get the 2-cycle.
It is. I'm having trouble seeing how much health Arel has, but I believe Arel has 9 bars of health, which is enough to take 2 shots from Square Machine. Hopefully that's the case, because being able to take 2 shots from Square Machine makes the fight a lot easier.
Yeah, there's one point where you can kind of trade hits, and it looked like that didn't really work out so well for Arel. Wanted to get one more hit on that phase.
Yeah, he decides to take the E-Tank, and I don't blame him. That'll allow him to get a nice comfy 4-hit here and be done with it.
Unfortunately got a 3-3 pattern here, so the RNG not in Arel's favor, and missed one shot, but should still be able to get the... Oh.
He missed 2 shots there, unfortunately. Gets a 3-3-2, so not the greatest RNG. Good news is for Arel, he has a death on Cossack 3 to cockroaches, so he can definitely make all that time up. He's still in very good shape to improve the time.
Yeah, only 11 seconds back. That death is a lot more than that, so still good pace. Carter has made it to Dive Man, still looking really good. And Brian's on Cossack 2 on yet another good run. Look at these jet strats. Everyone else, those suckers with their balloons, working so hard.
Yeah, I'm trying to decipher how far ahead Brian is right now. But I can't really tell.
3.7 seconds ahead after Mothra.
Okay, so the one thing to remember for Brian is he had a godly Wily 3, so he'll ideally want to be probably at least 5 seconds ahead going into Wily 3 to feel comfortable about having a shot to improve. Not that he would, reset if he wasn't, but that's probably where he's hoping to be, I would say, just because that Wily 3 is going to be hard to beat.
So Hypa's got something a little closer to her PB, just a little, and is now being a little more picky about how the run gets started for the next little bit. Is currently in Pharaoh, trying to get that going. Carter Freak with the one jump on the whale and dive, nicely done.
Yeah, that's always super impressive to be able to do that. I've not once one-cycled a whale.
It's a totally different kind of skill and ability.
Definitely. And I just missed the square machine fight for Brian. I did see the orange. It looks like it was pretty decent, at least, because Brian is gaining a little time here.
Yeah, now 5.7 seconds ahead of his previous really good, very close to PB run. Cockroaches now for Arel. There's that diagonal shot, hits both, nicely done.
He waits enough time that time for the charge shot to fully form, and he gets the cockroach right in the middle of the screen, just like he drew it up.
Perfect. Brian's giving us a taste of that good Cossack 3 music now, just a little bit behind Orel. Not in terms of pace necessarily, but just in terms of the sort of race, the mini race that's developing on the right side of the screen. Here's Debu, is back and at it, looking to get something started on Pharaoh Man here. Be a little while before the buffer catches up and they start moving again, don't worry about that.
So we got 2 runners on Heat PB pace into the late Cossack stages here. Carter Freak on still a very good run in Drillman stage. Actually, a really, really good pace in Drillman stage for Carter Freak. This is like very, very big PB pace for Carter right now.
We've talked about how some of the runners are, at a skill level that their PB doesn't quite suggest, just because things haven't come together. And for Carter Freak, it's just like a matter of time. Just hasn't put a lot of time into attempts even. So I think is right up with Arel and Debu in that category, due for a large PB. Can they make it happen in the next hour? All of them well poised to do so. Here's the Drillman fight. A little bit of a drunk missile. Oh, Carter approaching from above this time. Oh, does get a dive. Cockroaches for Brian. UFO catcher for Arel. Brian didn't go for that hit like he said on the cockroach. Going to be a little more safe. And I think he didn't get a full charge there.
No, he didn't. He got knocked. That can happen if you're not far right enough on the platform. He got knocked into the cockroach with the shot. his back boost got him knocked into the cockroach. So that is unfortunate when that happens, but it's a pretty common occurrence.
All right, Aurel going to be moving on to the Wily stages. Debu had a run that got into Bright, but looks like it just got ended. Debu does still have time to save in the late game, so considering the distance to the checkpoint, yeah, Debu is going to continue to play this run out. Carter into Toad as well. Almost done with 8 Robot Masters. Here's that tricky spot in this stage for Brian, going with a balloon strat here. If you want to be really fast, you could jump up, put the balloon in the wall, and jump off of that, but you really don't have a lot of room to work with in that narrow space. It can be tricky.
Yeah, that's definitely the safer balloon strat. Most people who go with the safe strat there are going to go with the coil, so that's another interesting strat that I haven't seen before.
Oh, Aurel slips in the bathtub.
Now, that's not good, but it's not the worst thing in the world, because you spawn right before that. So that's going to cost him, again, about 20 seconds there. So it could be worse.
I missed the cause, but it looks like Chak caught it. It was a small health drop from the enemy. That's a thing that can happen. The game kind of freezes while, you know, your ammo or health or whatever it is refills, and sometimes that's when you press your jump input, and if you're not ready to react, you don't press that jump button again. You're holding right, you walk off.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate when the health drops. Honestly, you'd rather get a big health drop there, because then you have time to react to it. But the small health drops, it's such a small amount of time that you have trouble catching up, and you a lot of times tend to just continue what you were doing, and by the time you realize you're dead.
Debu's on to Ring, continuing with this run. Carter starting Cossack, and Met Daddy for Aurel now, trying to shake off that death. Connects 5 times there. I think that was the long pause. Oh, just barely.
Just misses the 3 cycle.
Brian's turn on Wily 1 now. I kind of have trouble believing that Brian is just filling his splits with gold run after run after run, but is indeed still 5.7 seconds ahead of pace.
Yeah, I mean, it's super impressive. He uses the Marine again, which I guess maybe a safety thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's... I've never seen that before. That's awesome, though, that he's doing stuff that I haven't seen anybody do before.
Reminds me a lot of Darko. Darko just kind of does the strats that he wants, and some of them are like the fastest and crazy for how fast they are, and some of them are slow and weird and crazy in that regard. But it's just, I don't know, he does what he wants to do and just relies on some really innate player skill to back it all up. And I'm seeing a bit of that in Brian.
Yeah, definitely. That's exactly what I was thinking as well. He's moving into Met Daddy. He also busters Met Daddy at the beginning, which is something I haven't seen before. Unfortunately, Met Daddy not giving him the greatest RNG right now. It's going to be tough to... Yeah, it's impossible to 3-cycle him when he gives you that RNG. Didn't give him one single long...
Well, did the best with what it gave him. Carter Freak now out of Cossack 1 after defeating Mathraya. Has, minutes to save over their best run. Is currently 2.5 minutes ahead of their previous run, which puts them, dare I say, maybe on PB pace, actually. Aurel in that Taco Trash fight now. Did go ahead and use the drill to remove Taco Trash's hitbox. I don't know exactly why that works the way it does, but it certainly does give you an easy fight fighting the boss from back there.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that until you get into like 38-ish territory, you'll find most runners are still doing that strat because it's not that much slower, but it's a lot easier.
Debu with the quick crushers and Dustman, very cool to see. I don't think we've seen too much of that. We got a lot of players going with alternative strats on that screen. And then, of course, even if you are trying to go for it, it's just not so easy to pull it all off.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some chatter in chat about the new world record set in this game today, I think, by Becco.
Really? I
Yeah.
completely missed that.
It's 37:12, improvement of 5 seconds. So the world record holder will be playing in a heat Saturday, I think. I'm not sure what time. Joined with a bunch of other great runners as well.
That's awesome. Congratulations to Becca.
All right, a lot of boss fights happening. Aurel in the refights. Taco Trash for Brian. Jumping up there with the rings. Doing a pretty good job of the drill list strat there. And then there goes Square Machine for Carter Freak. Was at low health, but clutched it out.
Aurel.
3.5 minutes ahead is Carter Freak.
Yeah, he's on an insane pace right now. And he's got more time to save.
Is a minute ahead of his PB, his actual PB, his best ever.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean he could get a fat PB here. He's got a long way to go. Don't get me wrong, but I mean it's definitely something to watch.
All right, Aurel in the refights has got Skull out, is eating the shots that Brightman spits out. You know, the shield does want to protect you the way that a shield does, even if you as a runner would rather it be hitting Brightman and dealing that damage.
Aurel's got to be careful. I think he might get flash stopped here. Okay, never mind.
It's
I was
okay.
wrong.
But did take a lot of damage even after the refill is, you know, a little above half here. You definitely want to be a little higher, but there are some bosses coming up where, you know, you got an opportunity to pick up that health refill if you want. So Aurel can take the safe route if they want to.
Drill was being nice until he just decided to dive there.
Dodges another one, gets the health, is in a pretty good situation, and one dive is still a totally fine fight.
Yeah, you'll take one dive for sure, especially in refights. Meanwhile, Brian getting out of that Brightman. Really, that was the only place that he had any bad RNG at all in Wily 3. And now he's in Drill. He had a perfect Drill fight last time.
Yeah, no dives. Looks like we're going to get one this time. Well, I like the way he's fighting, but just not getting the dives. Or is getting the dives, I guess. Not getting a good luck. Okay, it took a while for that last shot to get there, but it is out of that horrible, horrible fight.
Yeah, and he's moving on throughout the room and just kind of counterclockwise order, it seems like. He starts down with Skullman, moves up the left side, and then kind of moves throughout the right side of the room.
Aurel on that Wily machine. Switching to Drill.
He's just really close to Wily Machine here, having a little trouble getting the detonations. Good news for Arel is as long again as he doesn't have any major missteps in the capsule fight, he'll vastly improve his posted time. He'll get a 41 on the board, a low 41.
Yeah.
So that would probably make him a little bit less tense in his last hour here.
Oh man, I'm
Always
so
always a
sad.
good thing. Good place to be.
This is gonna be my
1
last
minute,
chance probably after
30
that.
seconds ahead. Last chance. Come on now.
And
You
the
got
run
54
is-
minutes.
Man, I'm so sad. The
Oh,
run was
no.
so good.
I think he's upset about Cossack.
Hey, who knows?
Cossack 2,
It's
I
not
guess.
over.
All right, here we go.
Messed up.
Misses the double there. That's a tough double to get.
Messed up.
Oh,
But
he
then
gets the
gets it. Second try there.
And I'm gonna mess up all the doubles of the world.
One more hit.
Alright.
There it is. 4107.
Wow.
Get your GGs out for Arel,
That was
improving his time by over a
I died
minute.
3 times. and I got a
Almost 2
3.
minutes actually.
Somehow.
Very, very good comeback for Arel here, and I've got a
At
feeling
least
he's
I
not
got a
done.
better
I have a feeling he's
time.
going to break that time, so that's gonna
So,
allow
I'm
him
pretty
to
happy
play
about that.
a lot looser.
Dude.
I
Look
feel.
at the run. That was such a good one.
Within 50 seconds of PB
Such a good
is-
run until
I don't know,
I
like,
just
you know, everyone's gonna have their
died on
own
Dive Man.
goals coming into the tournament, but like I
I
feel
don't
like
know what
within a
happened
minute
on
of your
Cossack
time, like that's a
too,
that's
that
a
was
pretty good
terrible.
goal to shoot for. Arel's already there.
I died on 91.
We'll see if he can take it further.
And I died on the 92. And I played the machine super safe because I don't know why.
Yeah, he
it was
just had
so
2
close to
stages
me,
really
like,
that gave him
on the
trouble,
second phase,
and that
so
was
close
it
to me,
on that.
and I don't know
So
why.
we should probably
I
have
think it's
Brian
because, like,
moving
I messed up the
into
second shot.
Wily 4, or
So,
possibly on the machine
that's
fight
maybe
once we
why.
get the rest of the competitors back on screen here.
Did I need to?
Yeah, actually, I think he'll be
they got
right
it.
in that capsule fight. Hopefully, we can catch it in time. He was on a really good pace. The refights, there was a bit of bad luck, so it's going to be tough to match his previous run. And we switched right to him right in time as he's sliding into the capsule. The layout is a little weird, but that's okay. The gameplay is there, and that's what we want to see right now. Oh, I don't know. That's a lot of time to make up.
Yeah, he would have had to have a perfect capsule, and still I don't think that probably would have done it. So not going to quite match his previous time, but again, just super consistent for Brian. He's going to get another low to mid 40XX here. Gets the double. Get your GGs out for Brian. Coming in with a 40-20. His third very, very good run.
Yeah, that says a lot about your confidence for these next 50 minutes, but it also says a lot about your confidence, like going into the tournament afterwards, right? So taking sort of a longer scope at this tournament. That's got to do a lot for Brian.
Definitely, and we've got Carter in Wily 1, so he's up next, in my opinion. If he can close this out strong, and he's through the really difficult, like, massive time losses. As long as he can get through Met Daddy here, that's the last place that's kind of really scary for new or intermediate players. After that, there's
Alright,
no
bring it on,
massive
Met Daddy.
time losses that are really scary, unless you're doing some really tricky strats in Wily 2.
All right, it's currently 3.5 minutes ahead of pace, and like you said, needs a good fight here to continue. Well, honestly, like you could have a
think that
disaster
hit
here
him.
and still be ahead. That's how far ahead Carter is right now, but would like to stay this far ahead.
Okay, good. We got
Ooh,
3
nicely
cycles still.
done.
Yep, saves it for the 3 cycle after a stray ring there. The Carter's in great position right now.
All right.
Debu's been,
I just need
been
to not
trucking
die to
down
the
there in the
square.
bottom left
As
corner.
long
Took
as
a
I
bit
don't
of a
die to
break.
the
Been a
square,
while
I'm
since
okay.
we've seen them. deep into a run, but is on Toadman stage now, and I'm seeing green numbers ahead of pace.
Or not the square, the
Gonna
next
be
guy. I
close
can't.
to
No,
that,
I'll actually be good because this boss is not that
that
bad.
sub 19.
I was thinking of the wrong
but
boss
it's
for
gonna
some
be more
reason.
like 1920 or 30.
This guy I should be okay with.
Yeah, he'll probably have a mid 19 8 robo split here.
He's going for some of those underwater slides. I don't know if we talked a little bit. We did mention like underwater physics is weird in a lot of ways, and one of the things that makes it difficult for runners is you can no longer jump out of a slide underwater. So you have to turn back to cancel it and then kind of flick forwards again to continue moving. And it's really easy, especially on shorter slides, to actually even save time with it. So to see
Carter
Debu
Free.
going for some of those, it's a good sign.
Sorry about that. Carter Free just had a very, very scary instance there in Wily 2. Rush almost pushed him right off of that platform with the drill, and that would have been not a colossal disaster, but it would have cost about 30 seconds.
Got Hypa in the top right. They had a massive, massive improvement and is now working on chipping away at it, trying to get a run started. If you see any of the streams freeze after they show up, it's because we're adding a bit of a buffer to make sure that they run smoothly once they get going. So totally normal behavior. It'll kick up and resume in just a moment. I mean, it already is, but it will be throughout the next 48 minutes.
Meanwhile, Carter moving into Taco Trash. Looks like Carter's going to go for the straight ring strats here, not going to attempt to despawn the hit. Gotta be careful, he's one shot.
He's playing very safe for that last hit.
Yeah. That was scary, because again, dying to Taco Trash is one of the most punishing deaths that you could possibly take.
I liked a lot of what he did there, though. There was one point where he did a really quick tap left to damage boost over to the right and stay on the platform, and then there was another narrow dodge jumping out to or standing on like the very edge of the ledge. Was just all around nicely done to stay alive in that terrifying moment.
Very, very nice.
Going with the E-Tank too, making sure they finish out this really, really good run.
Oh no!
All right, what do you do?
Oh no! And now it's snowballing on him. He got hit by the spike enemy, and he takes another hit. Now he's got to be. He just has a million problems now after that. His balloon ammo's gone. He's got very low health. His time obviously is drained. So that when you take that fall, that feels so bad. In that stage, because it just creates so many problems for you.
There's so many that you need to, like, it's difficult to figure out in the moment, like, how do I fix this, right? Where do I cut corners on ammo and or health in order to sort of get back on route?
Yeah, and it doesn't even just create problems for that stage, it creates problems in Cossack 2. You gotta either use Rush Jet, which is slower, or figure something out with your balloons, or not do the fast balloons in the second screen, something like that.
Alright, Hypa is on Bright here, trying to get a run started. Debu, like you said, Cossack 2. And then Carter, kind of the runner to watch right now, really far ahead of pace.
Having some ammo problems on Skullman there, but gets through it.
Yeah, that's gonna continue a little bit, having missed that drop in Wily 3. Or making the drop, I guess, in Wily 3. You don't want to drop, you want to get into the side and pick up those little refills.
Has plenty of ammo going into Brightman.
So those little refills are normally for dust, right? And we're kind of through that part of it, but they're also for rings. So, his shield blocked the shot there. Okay.
How are we
doing on skull ammo now?
He has 2 shots, so he's probably just going to want to do 2 charge shots to Brightman, and then, well, maybe not. I was going to say 2 charge shots would equal 3 skull shots, but I guess he's just going to buster him all the way down, which at this point, if you're not sure just on the fly, that's probably the best strategy because you don't have to use any menus or anything like that.
Yeah, I like. Well, he did fire a lemon, but he's already passed that last
Yeah.
threshold here, so he's okay. Still has to deal with. He's. I don't know. He's got like. I think he's okay on ring. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so. That looks like enough ring. Yeah, he should be fine on ring unless Dust really trolls.
All right, getting some bad behavior on his dive missile and a dive from Drillman, and then another one. Things kind of spiraling away for Carter Freak here. We'll see if he can kind of get a handle on this end game here and close out this run.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he's only lost like maybe 30 seconds tops here. As long as you just pull it together right now, you've still got a very, very good PB and a very good.
Question from the chat about sort of the format of things. The runners have 3 hours to complete the best run that they can. So they've already got the best runs so far, and they're using the last of their time to try to get one better. They can reset whenever they want, use their time strategically, and try to do the best they can in these 3 hours.
Nice square machine fight there for debut. He's got potential, I believe, going into Cossack 3. Meanwhile, Dust plays nice for Carter. That's very good.
Yeah, Debu was 25 seconds ahead at one point, lost a big chunk of that, but is still ahead and still has time to save in some of these later stages. So Debu definitely going to continue this run.
Yeah, meanwhile, Carter is totally fine on ring ammo.
Perfect. It's pretty good on health, too.
Yeah, he's taking 2 hits here. Gotta be... no, that's a third. You gotta be careful here.
If you want to be aggressive, you can sometimes count on taking some hits here, and it would have worked out if he had nailed all those drills. He tanked a couple, but he does get the boss down.
Oh my goodness, stay away from the boss. Ran into the boss after the... while he was in his death animation, and the boss can still kill you when that's going on.
Oh, Hypa had a bit of a scary moment going for the fast crushers and dust there. The ring cleared out like the opposite 2 blocks that I was expecting, but they're still okay. They've made it through.
Wow, Aurel skins the cat there on that last crusher. Barely gets under it, and Hypa gets the slide under the small squishy jump in Dust. That is not easy to do.
Well, there's a kind of a cool race forming on the right side of the screen, but for now, all eyes on Carter Freak getting into this capsule, poised for a huge improvement, poised for a new personal best. Let's go.
Gets the single shot off the bat. Just barely missed the jump for the double there.
Yeah, and then wisely didn't go for it, knowing that there wasn't going to be enough time.
Gotta be
health
careful.
is a concern.
Yeah, E-Tank, good
Smart.
call.
Ammo also a bit of a concern here. Oh no, it's fine.
Very nice double.
4204. I almost got a sub
GGs.
42.
Get your GGs out for Carter. 4204. And I believe, is that a new personal best?
It sure
I
is
believe-
by 34 seconds.
Very nice run for Carter Freak there.
That's a new PB for me.
That's awesome. 40 minutes left to try to beat it now.
I believe that's the first PB of the
Let's try and
heats,
get
isn't
another
it?
run.
I think you're right.
Right back into it.
Right back into it. I like it. So meanwhile, that race on the right side of the screen, Paris Skullman stage is developing here. Irel just a tiny bit ahead, or so it appears. Looking at their timers, Irel would be a little bit further ahead in terms of pace.
Yeah, and Irel's splits are red right now, but I don't know how much that means because of the fact that in Irel's current PB that he's running against, not his actual PB, he had a pretty good early game. It was the later stages that he kind of had some trouble.
Was 10 seconds back at the end of Dust. So it's, 10 seconds. There's more than that waiting in those last set of stages.
Yeah, and it looks like that's still a sub 10 Dust split by quite a bit, actually.
We got Brian in the top left now, trying to get a run started. Perhaps has actually had to reset once or twice since the last time we saw him. Probably just because his run is so hard to beat.
Yeah, so he's probably, at this point, maybe going for some more difficult strats. It's tough to say. But, yeah, he has been the model of consistency for most of this heat, so it's, you can't really blame him for having a little bit of trouble throughout some of the runs. It's 3 hours, almost anybody is going to have some runs where they have to reset.
Well, speaking of that, he drops down into the spikes on Pharaohman stage, shorted the jump just a little bit. That's all right. On the right side, got a double dive man. Irel still ahead by a little bit. I wonder if we'll see Hypa go for some underwater slides with some left-right cancels a little more than Irel might.
I think Hypa does that kind of stuff anyway. I think Irel, it's dependent on kind of what time he's looking for. With Irel, I think he might be playing it a little bit more safe at this point. Yeah, he normally does the slide cancels if he's going for, say, a PB. But if he's just looking to play it safe, that's probably a thing that you want to cut out.
Well, didn't see too much of it from Hypa. Did try to slide under Squishy, I guess, as you called him. I don't know if that's the official name. Didn't quite get it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard them called. I haven't heard him called anything else anyway, so if there is another name, I haven't heard it.
Official names are overrated.
Exactly.
Debu's on Wily 1, down in the underwater section here. Let me find out exactly what pace he's on. 3.5 seconds ahead going into Wily 1.
That's a pretty good pace. Oh no! And he takes an unwanted screen transition. Those are costly. Fortunately for him, that's not the most costly one in the world because he can grab the ladder right back off the bat. But some of the ones in Ringman, specifically, and some other stages are really costly.
Oh, I missed it a little bit, but and I'm not too good at identifying it because it is so rare. But I think Hypa might have got the animation skip on Dive Man after defeating the boss.
Oh, I was watching Debu's Met Daddy fight, so I missed it. But yeah, it's Dive Man is probably the easier one in my opinion. I don't know why, but probably because you watch the bubble instead of watching your little explosion pieces to leave the screen. I'm not sure what to call them, but the explosion animation, you watch the bubble instead.
Oh, I guess they both did.
Oh wow, very nice then.
both keeping it close here, heading into drill. But I guess really our focus should be on Debu, who is now in Wily 2. Has been, poised for an improvement both in the heats and maybe even an actual personal best here. That is going to be tough, I think, on this run, but could definitely still improve in the heats.
Oh, definitely. I'm going to take a very, very short absence. I'll be
Sure, no problem. We are here in the commentator's booth for a while. Definitely need to get some water and stuff every now and then. Brian is in Ringman. I'm seeing some red numbers. But Brian, he's got a really tough run to beat. Sometimes it just feels bad getting stuck in the first 2 stages or whatever, so he's going to continue on, see if he can make it happen. Hypa is in the Drill Man fight. Should be called the Dive Man fight on account of all the dives he seems to want to do all the time. Arel missing some of those dive missiles, but does get a pretty fortunate pattern. And Hypa, I thought the boss was defeated while I was watching Arel, but it was Hypa who was defeated by Drillman. Still has plenty of dive missiles, but that is going to hurt her time a little bit. Let's see how she does on the run back. 4, 5 jumps, and then boop. Okay, that was a little... That seemed a little late to me. I don't know. I guess something about the jumps was off. But the rest of the fight was great. Debu onto Taco Trash, using the drill to remove the hitbox, getting behind, shooting those rings. It's only a little bit slower and a heck of a lot safer. Gets it done. Ring ammo is I don't know. It's always low, but I'm worried it's a little bit too low. We'll find out. Arel and Hypa approaching Toadman stage now. Arel's already in. Through that first screen. Onto, I think, probably the trickier screen. Sliding through this water. Well, sliding when it's moving with you. And jumping out of when it's moving against. The push and pull of the rain and the water in this stage can be a little awkward. But we're through that. Just a matter of flashing the mini bosses correctly now. As Debu gets ready to take on the refights, is 5.5 seconds behind pace, but I think has more than that to make up.
Okay, very sorry about that.
Welcome back. I was just saying Debu, 5.5 seconds behind pace, but through the refights and Wily Machine, Wily Capsule, I think has more than that to make up still. I'm gonna find out, I guess.
Yeah, looking at W's splits and his time right now in Skull, he could get a small improvement on his time for sure. Looks like Hypa might have had some trouble in either Drillman or Toadman that I missed.
Yeah, Hypa died during the Drillman fight, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, that's rough.
So it was sort of dropped back behind Arel a little bit in their little race on the right side of the screen. Hypa's gonna continue this run out though. I'm not sure what their endgame looks like, how much time they have to save, but she's gonna continue on from here.
Yeah, meanwhile, Arel was on a pretty good pace here.
Onto Cossack 1, bustering down the Slinkies. Try to call him anything else. See if you can get me to call him anything other than Slinkies. You can't. That's what they are.
Arel's got to be so careful with health now. That he was a little bit late on that shot and took 2 hits in that room. He's got to be really careful.
Debu's gotten 2 dives in Drillman so far. Takes a hit, but doesn't go back for the refill. Is going to count on maybe getting one from some of these later boss fights. Alright. Ringman fight for Debu.
He handles it not.
Yeah, kills him on the far left of the screen too. Quick exit into the capsule.
Oh wow, Aurel missed that last ring shot. I thought he had it, but at least he's through the stage and he's not dead. That's the big thing. Dust decided to give Debu a couple sucks there, but he handled it and he's through.
No, it's not. That's it. I can't.
So Debu, it's going to be close. It's going to be super close to whether he can improve his time or not.
Well, he's off to a good start. Sneaking in some of those really low hits with the ring is really not so easy. I liked that first phase. A couple of tinks with the drills. You do have to manually detonate it to get the explosion.
He sent another left. That's going to be tough. That's going to be really, really tight to improve his time. It can be done.
Just got to get the God capsule, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like, if he does, it's going to be by like maybe a second or two.
Oh, Aurel falls and Hypa dies in Cossack 2. Game over.
Yikes, that's awful. So Aurel now, I'm almost positive, is going to take an E-Tank. I was going to say the safety health, but an E-Tank works. Switching to Rush Jet to get through there.
Well, here's Debu in the capsule. We'll see. Is it going to be an improvement? Going to need amazing luck and skill. That's not the double you want to see.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is not going to be it for Debu. But way to finish it out, though. He definitely hung in there through a tough run, and he's going to finish out this run with a mid 40.
41-36.
41-36 for Debu. Get your GGs out. He soldiered through that one when a lot of people wouldn't have, so it's, big respect.
It also just feels good to finish a run, right? After you've been resetting for a little while. Just to prove to yourself that, I can do this.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, meanwhile, Aurel gets down Square Machine. He still has a pretty good pace. Definite shot to improve his heat PB.
Hypa, I can't tell if their stream is frozen or if they're just taking a moment before moving on to their next run, because things did not go well for her in Cossack 2 here.
Yeah, considering the fact that Hypa has reset the timer, I'm feeling like it's probably just a break.
Not much time left, but you got to do what you got to do in order to center yourself, find your zen.
Brian, over on the left-hand side of the screen, gets a couple sucks from Dustman, but handles it nicely. Or actually just one suck, but just a tad behind his heat PB. Meanwhile, we got Carter Freak back on the right side of the screen. Back in fair.
Yeah, remember Carter literally had a new personal best just now. That's hard. That's hard to beat. You you gotta come out with a pretty strong start to give yourself a chance at improvement, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's with a death in Wily 3. So without that death to Brightman, Carter definitely would have had like a mid 41 there. So Carter's still got a bunch of potential to improve. We might not have heard the last from him.
Well, there's only 25 minutes left for these runners, so no one is going to be able to... Well, I take it back. Irel's maybe far enough along that they could finish this run and then still get started and have another, right? For everyone else, whatever run they get to the end of the game is going to be their last run. So effectively, they've got one more chance for improvement.
Yeah, so now is where you start to get really picky. If you've got a serviceable time on the board. If you don't have a time that you're happy with on the board, then you start to be thinking, like, as long as I'm deathless and I have a really good shot to improve my heat PB, I need to keep this going because I've got this many stages behind me already. But if you've got a good time on the board already, you're starting to get really picky, I feel, and trying to get the best potential run possible.
All right, so Hypa has indeed decided to rest on the run that she's achieved. 40:45 is the time, currently sitting in 13th. Some of the runners even competing right now, I think, have a shot at maybe unseating her from that position in these last 23 minutes. But we'll be focusing on these four for the remainder of this heat.
Yeah, Arel just saved more time on Cossack 3. Arel could do that with this very run.
Let me see, they are 22.7 seconds ahead of pace.
Yeah, of all the people on the stream right now, I think probably Debut is the least satisfied with his time. So I'm really kind of pulling for him to get one going here. That's going to be a big improvement. He's definitely capable of improving that 41:27 by quite a bit here.
I guess when I run the numbers, if Arel stays 22 seconds ahead of his previous pace, he will actually tie Hypa exactly. So that is a really exciting position to be in.
That's true, and I'm pretty sure that Arel has got quite a bit of time save in these later stages anyway. So Arel could definitely even beat Hypa with some good execution on these last few stages.
Siberian Bull in the chat. Surprised to learn you can skip the whale with the use of the balloon. And I guess I'm not very familiar with the strat. I suppose it's the menu to and from the balloon that makes it kind of cost more time than it saves.
Oh no, Arel's got to be careful. He got off sync with the Cossack catcher. Oh, he's out of trouble with it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a dance to try to wrangle it again. Okay, he's got himself some space to work with, and he fired low. No jump came out.
Okay, he got it. He's gonna lose time there, but at least it's down and he's not. And unfortunately, Debut has taken a death in Pharaoh on the platforms. This is kind of where that Pharaoh first strategy can come into play. It's less consistent than Bright first, and it can be harder to get runs off. So now is where you're in crunch time, where you're really kind of feeling the heat. Makes it that much more difficult.
All right, let's see how the Wily stages start to go for Arel here. Brian is on Drillman with a pretty decent pace, the way that many of his runs seem to go. Everyone else trying to get a run going, so I guess it's really all eyes on Arel right now, dealing with some of these Mets.
Yeah, we're closing in on the last 20 minutes of the Skullman heat. So now is really starting to get down to decision time for pretty much everyone but Arel. Obviously, Arel's going to keep going on this run until it's not possible to improve because he'll have time to start another one, but nobody else will at this point.
It can be difficult to focus on your play when you have this kind of decision looming over your head, when you have to keep looking over at your splits and maybe trying to do some quick math to calculate how much time do I have to save, how likely am I to save it. It's kind of distracting. You'd really rather just just play the game, but it is important to make those decisions.
Oh, trust me. After my heats, I definitely feel everything you just said.
All right, Arel into the boss fight against Met Daddy here, hoping to preserve that ring ammo. Quick jump.
Yeah, he does what he can with it. Hopefully we get a long pause here. We do. Oh no, he got frozen. He landed right before Met Daddy.
And then the quick jump.
Yeah, removes all possibility of a 3-cycle, but that's okay. Not the end of the world. He did the rest of the stage well, so as long as you 4-cycle Met Daddy, you're gonna be fine. He's still in line to get a big improvement.
Yeah, 34 seconds ahead of pace, which interestingly, like we pointed out, is also ahead of Hypa's time, so we'll be 2 leaderboard spots, closing in on 3.
Oh yeah, so even with that 4-cycle Met Daddy, he died in his PB on Wily 1, in the drink.
Right. So in a fantastic position, moving through Wily 2. Like you said, it can be a pretty straightforward stage if you're not going for any crazy stuff.
Yeah, once you're through those initial spike rooms, the only other really difficult room, unless you're doing the kind of crazy strats at the end, where you do the small slides on the platforms, is the room with the bats. The room with the bats can be a little scary, but Arel's pretty good at it. I think he'll be fine. Yeah.
A little rush jet stepping stool there. It can be tricky to kind of get it in the right spot.
Yeah, and that's where that's kind of what I was referring to earlier for those who aren't aware with the hypostrats. Hypostrats, named after our runner today, Hypa, are where you cause rush jet, where you turn around and then turn back right, and you cause rush jet to face right when rush jet lands instead of facing left, so you have a bigger window to jump on rush and get your jump off.
Here we go with Taco Trash, using the drill to remove the hitbox, so this is going to be a straightforward fight. No danger of dying or losing a whole lot of time here.
Yeah, he does miss a ring shot there. He's firing a little bit too quick. So his ring ammo is a little bit low, but I'm
all right, we'll keep an eye out for that as we move forwards. Everyone else just trying to get a run going. Carter Freak is into Ringman stage.
Debbie's got to be careful. There we go. Gets him down. He was almost out of ammo there.
I think we might have had a stream hiccup or something, but
Yeah, mine had to refresh there.
I think we should be all good now. Just in time to see Arel sliding into some of these refights.
Yeah, gonna be dropping into the chamber at about 35-15. Very good pace here. he can definitely get a mid 40 XX with this, like a 43 or maybe a 42 even.
Carter's health in Ringman stage is really not in a great spot here. Would appreciate a health drop rather from something.
Arel did a really nice job with that trolley pattern from Pharaoh there. He didn't miss a beat and gets the slide through the lower capsules.
Onto Skullman, gets hit and misses a shot. Not a great way to open it up, but gets a fast pattern.
Okay, gets... Oh, and he's not taking the... Okay, he slides back for the health. Thinks better of it. Especially with Dive coming up. Dive is one of the scarier bosses on low health, because one misstep can really snowball on you.
Carter Freak's also in a similar situation. Does get the kill on Ringman after getting through the stage at that same 2 bits of health there. Nice job. Meanwhile, Arel onto Brightman.
Arel's got to be careful with the shields. He can't miss. Okay, there we go. Actually, did he hit him? No, he didn't hit him enough times. Yeah, it takes the heads up shield, or the E-tank. Yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't think he could miss with any of those shields. Luckily, he gets the overlap on the 2 flashes there, and he is mercifully out of that Brightman fight.
Of course, Brightman jumped right on top of him on that first flash too.
Oh, and W takes a ring to the face from Ringman. So now it's really crunch time for W. He's got 13 minutes and change to get something going here, and you don't want to be starting your last chance at the very last second. That's that's if all else fails. He'd like to have a solid pace going into Dive Man when that timer runs out.
Right. Yeah. If you've got a number of stages behind you and you're ahead, then you know for sure no way am I resetting this. Right. There's no decision to be made. You can just focus on playing the game.
Exactly.
Arel's onto Ringman. His health is looking good.
Nice Ringman refight there from Arel. Just got to get non-trolley Dustman here, and he'll be in great position.
Does get one suck.
Oh no! Okay, that's not the end of the world. It's unfortunate that he got those 2 sucks right at the very end, but he's still in an okay position.
Yeah, his health is good. His ammo is good. Getting nice and low under those shots, just barely hitting with the ring. Takes a hit during the transition to the second phase here. Can only get hit, what, maybe once more from here? Maybe twice.
He has 1 more hit to give. But well, okay, maybe 2. He could have got a shot, but not the boss, which really scared me as he slid right toward the boss.
Oh no, that machine is defeated. I kind of want to see the pace, but I think if I click play, I'm going to spoil myself here. 40 seconds ahead. Going into Wily 4 here.
Yeah, Arel is set up for a nice 43x time here with a good capsule fight. Possibly even a 39 2x if he gets a god split here.
Put him within, 15-20 seconds of PB. A phenomenal run. Here we go. Went for ring first on the menu. There's a couple of seconds lost.
Yeah, so 2x is probably out the window.
I couldn't get the
Oh no, definitely is now.
A little too high on that one. Here's a double. Yeah.
Very good double.
Oh, I can't believe that didn't hit when it was above his head.
Nice double there to
Okay.
finish it. 40-32.
Absolutely. What a great run. What a great finish with only 10 minutes left. You got to feel real good about that one.
Yeah, especially with it being so long for Orel with that 43 on the board. He's definitely resting a little bit easier now. Now he's got 10 minutes to really go for it. Now he's got 10 minutes to go for that sub 40 that he's capable of. So everybody get your GGs out for Orel. We've still got 10 minutes here to start new runs. So let's see what these runners can come up with here in this last little bit.
Cossack 2 was terrible too. I got lucky.
We might get into a situation where everyone resets, and we get like a final race between our 4 competitors.
Oh, that would be fun. And it looks like maybe
3 competitors.
Yeah, I think Carter Freak has called it.
I got unlucky.
Debut, I think.
Oh, Debut has called it. Sorry
I
about
think.
that. Yeah.
I'm just speculating off of the blank screen and the lack of movement I saw for the past little while.
Why? Okay, I got scared for a second.
Let me check the Heats channel.
Alright, not bad, but still know what I want.
Yeah, Debut has indeed bowed out for now. Or for the remainder of the heat.
Not what I want.
Well, everybody get your GGs out for Debut. He is our second runner to call it for this portion of the heats, or for the heats in general, in the Skullman heat. He really hung in there and getting some kind of rough luck. So he definitely put on an admirable performance.
Currently sitting in 16th with 29 runners on the board out of, I think 55 is the number for the total entrance, so is not out of it. I think still has a good shot to qualify.
Yeah, definitely. He would have to have 14 people out of the 29 remaining beat him, which is, probably right on the line there, but we'll see. I think he's got a very good shot.
Plenty of resets all around. Everyone in their first stage, except Carter Freak, I guess, is going to be moving out of the first stage now. Brightman defeated. So Arel and Brian, their runs are like within 20 seconds of their PB, I want to say. Carter Freak literally got a new personal best. So it's a lot to ask any of these runners to come up with an improvement on this last run.
Yeah, definitely. I'm assuming Brian and Carter Freak are both not strangers to like Mega Man games and Mega Man runs in general. I know Arel's a very good Mega Man 2 zipless runner. He's gotten a sub 30 in that category. I think a 29.3x, I want to say. But I'm assuming based on the play of Brian and Carter Freak that both of them have probably played other Mega Man games as well. But my point of all this is, I mean, seasoned Mega Man runners, there's pressure anytime you're on a PB pace in these games for sure, because things can go just so wrong with one misstep.
Yeah, I don't have too much experience with running Mega Man, mostly because every time I do, it's weirdly stressful in a way that I haven't noticed with other games. There's just something about knowing that like every spike, every pit is instant death, and the knockback has a way of guiding you into them. Just like that, Carter just a little bit short on a jump, spike dead immediately. Gonna play it out? Nope, just Just taking a moment to let that sink in, I guess.
Yeah, at this point, I don't think you can play that out at this point in the run. Like, if you're on Pharaoh, and you do, especially if you do Pharaoh first, you got to reset that.
Brian's onto ring. Let me take a closer look at what that number is. And it's not a good enough number. It's going to reset back to Pharaoh Man here.
Yeah, so Aurel gets a time out of Bright that he's happy with, and I don't blame him. 221.5 is a pretty good Bright Man split. So, oh no. And I spoke a little too soon. He falls into the spikes.
I feel like everyone's trying to really push, really cut corners, land right on the very edge of these platforms on these jumps.
Yeah, I think it looked like Aurel tried to jump there, but he might have accidentally slid, or maybe he tried to slide jump off of the platform. I'm not sure. But yeah, he definitely slid again on that platform. I don't think he meant to.
Brian's across the gap has picked up the balloon. It's cool to see Brian's route. You know, there's been Pharaoh first or Bright first for a while, and a lot of discussion about which one is better. The world record now held by Becco, set today, I think, goes Bright first. The slower of the two, if it's done perfectly. So it's very much kind of up for debate which is the way to go. And then Brian comes in and he's like, "Man, let me tell you about Bright's 7th."
Yeah, exactly. Pharaoh first, and then Ringman. Yeah, I'm still amazed how well he's able to get through Drillman without the use of Brightman's weapon.
Gets zoned out by the Dragonfly going for the jump across the gap to the balloon. It can just happen.
And that's the part of Pharaoh first that would drive me absolutely nuts. Is getting knocked into that pit because you don't have.
Yeah, in some regard, it's better than Bright. Well, no, Bright you flash and then you don't have to worry about it at all, right? But if you were doing Pharaoh second for some reason and not Bright first, then it would be later into the run that you had to make this jump. At least it's only 30 seconds in. This time we're across, and Brightman's defeated for Aurel. Maybe like 1 second behind pace, I think, so definitely something to continue on.
Yeah, it basically even with pace. A split second behind, so he's fine with that. He's got a lot of time to save later. And we have 2 minutes left, so if these runners are going to die, they need to do it in the next 2 minutes. Otherwise, they can't die at all, or else they just got to take.
It'll be interesting to see if anyone plays differently, right? Like if they've been really pushing for a really good stage 1, a really good stage 2, and then you get down to the last run. Do you switch it up and start playing a little safe to at least make sure that your last run gets going? I don't know.
Yeah, it's really tough to say. I think again, it just kind of depends on your personality, your play style, and if you're comfortable with your time on the board. So Brian is through Pharaoh stage, and he is through it with a, well, maybe not a better time than in his PB because he splits on fade out. That's still a better team.
Cutter damage bright too, so with 30 seconds counting down, the players are, well, Arel did just reset.
He takes what will probably be his final reset. He just missed that jump over the pit in Pharaoh Man. So if he's gonna die, he's got to do it on this first screen of Bright Man. Otherwise, this is his final.
Well, that one pit is, probably the most common early death on Bright, and Arel just cleared it as the timer ticks down to 0. So the players, I don't know, with factoring in stream delay and things, they have made some sort of decision whether or not to reset and try again or continue the run they're on. I don't see any reason why they would reset, so I expect these are going to be our last 3 runs of this heat.
Yeah, and all 3 runs still very much alive. So this is what we got to work with at this point. So hopefully all 3 of these can get a final time improvement. Brian just had a very scary moment there in Ringman.
He sure did. That large ammo refill dropped right on his head while he was in the middle of jumping over a gap with spikes underneath. But thankfully it was a large refill, so he kind of had enough time to see it coming, react, and turn back. Pharaoh for Carter past the first sort of dangerous section, riding on the spikes. Maybe dangerous is overselling it a bit. I feel like runners have this part down pretty well, despite the fact that it's covered in spikes. Lots of boss fights all around.
The dangerous part of that section is the fact that you're trying to optimize it. You're trying to land as close to the edge as possible, and sometimes you just short your jump.
Brian gets the kill on Ringman. Bright dead for Orel. And Carter's having a bit of trouble. Pharaoh Man jumping around, being a nuisance, but there we go. Unfortunate kill right on the left side of the screen, though. So look how long it takes these bullets to fade. Oh, but got the jump. Nice animation skip.
Very nice. Always feels good when you get that.
I think it's literally like 2 seconds the difference between killing the boss on the side and in the middle.
So here comes a very tense pit jump for Arel in Pharaoh Man stage. If he misses this, I kind of expect him to reset, but he's not going to miss it. He's going to nail it.
Devin and Hypa are done. Their times will stay as they stand on the leaderboard. The other 3 have a shot to improve on this last run.
So Brian making his way into the Crusher Room. Carter in the first Saturn screen of Ringman. Oh no, he tinks Pharaoh shot off of the ring boss. He does recover, he gets it the next cycle, but that feels bad. And also his health is very scary right now.
Really good Dust Crusher section from Brian with the Buster. Moving on to the fight soon. Ooh,
wow.
Carter.
Yeah.
He's okay, and he got the big health refill too, so that's going to help him with some of these damage boosts and maybe a bit of a cushion for the boss fight. I'm not sure how it's going to shake out here.
He might need a cushion for the boss fight because his ammo is not going to get him all the way through, I don't believe.
Alright, let's see what he can do. Brian does get Dustman defeated.
Yeah, he is ahead. Oh, gotta be so careful.
Oh, he's right on top of him.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Ugh.
Oh, wow.
Imagine if he just
No.
like spun around and mustard him in the face or something. I don't think it would have killed, but it would have been
Yeah,
cool.
he still had 1 HP to go, but that's unfortunate.
So he's not gonna play it out, I guess. He reset. There's no more time left, so that was Carter Freak's final run. Carter Freak's time stands as a new personal best of 42:04.
Yep, everybody get your GGs out for Carter Freak. First PB of the heats, so that was very, very impressive. And he did it on a very grand scale, over 30-second PB.
Might be one to put on the leaderboards. I asked Carter before we got started if he had a PB because I didn't see it on the leaderboard. And he was like, well, I'm new, so I didn't really want to submit yet. And it would be pretty cool to submit the video for your PB as part of a broadcast on Speed Gaming.
Oh, definitely.
So Arel, 6 minutes into a run on Ringman. Brian, 8 minutes into a run on Skull, which sounds really weird until you remember that his route leaves Brightman until 7th.
I haven't seen any major hiccups here on Skullman, so. Yeah, Brian looks to be in fine shape walking into the boss fight. Meanwhile, Arel's health is not the greatest right now. He's got to be super careful in the ring. Oh no! Oh, he missed the Saturn with a shot. And we have an immediate reset of his splits. And it looks like that's going to be it for Arel. Get your GGs out for Arel. Had a little trouble in the early going, but came back in a massive way to get a 40-32 late in the heat. Very good job from Arel.
Yeah, currently sitting in 13th is a really good spot to qualify. And considering how close that is to their PB of 40-17, really is an accomplishment.
And then there was one. Brian, probably the most consistent of all of the runners have been this heat anyway. Going for that last run in this heat.
I've been watching, I think, all the heats, and he might be the most consistent runner I've seen so far across all of them.
Yeah, he has not been resetting a bunch at all.
God, you can see the lag really start to build up. It's easy to take lag management for granted when you are speedrunning this game. It's kind of the invisible killer.
Yeah, and especially on certain stages. Dive Man is one of those stages where there are some screens that the lag is just crazy.
Yeah, and then you put a balloon on there, and the one balloon just adds, it takes it that much further over the precipice that the game can handle. But this stage has been clean. If anyone was going to clutch out a really good final run, it would be Brian. Using the Skull Shield to block the missile on the descent. Gets all the hits in pretty clean.
Yeah, pretty clean Dive Man fight. He's waiting for that bubble, and he doesn't try to get the early exit there. But he is going to be just barely green. It looks like he didn't lose or gain any time on that stage.
Well, we've been singing his praises with how consistent he is, and then he goes ahead and matches his previous run down to the 10th of a second. into Drill Man. Reminder that Brian does not have Flash Stopper for this stage, so you're going to see a pretty different approach through most of the stage.
Yeah, and it looks like the thing that Brian, or one of the things that Brian is really good at is mashing, because you saw how fast that squishy died.
Really not easy to do that. It's also another thing entirely, like, it's one thing to mash, but it's another to be like mashing while moving and jumping and turning, right? Like all those things, I think, drastically reduce my ability to press the B button over and over.
Definitely. And unfortunately, Brian gets some bad RNG, and then he missed a shot on the Ladybug, so his health is not exactly where I'm sure he would want it. And he's not getting any health drops from these enemies. So he's got to be super careful here, especially on the
Using the Skull Shield to protect himself. Now, is that shield adding lag while it's out? Do you want to like hit it at the last second if you were trying to be optimal?
Honestly, I'm not sure. Good news is he did get a small health drop there. I'm not sure if Skull Shield... I think it probably does. I would think it does.
Well, it was pretty clean through that section. I mean, he's alive, so there's that. How many dives are we going to get? It's a constant question whenever Drill Man is on screen. Oh, yeah.
No dive, Drill Man. Very nice. And doesn't take a single hit either. Actually, he might have taken a shot, but he didn't take a single body hit from...
Up, down, fade out. It's going to be like right there, like a second.
Yeah, even with the no dives, Drill Man, he just got such good RNG throughout his 4009 that even with that good RNG, like, he had to have a perfect stage just to keep pace.
Well, now, finally, we find ourselves onto Brightman's stage. It's going to be a little different because we've actually got Rush Jet, so can make certain rooms, particularly the grasshoppers and with the spikes, much, much easier and still quite fast. While we've got some time, I guess we should remind everyone that we've only seen about half the runners so far have competed in their heats. There are more coming up, including one later today. I started talking before I was sure of the actual time of the next heat. I want to say 10 p.m.? Yes, 10 p.m. Eastern time. So in 2 hours and 35 minutes. On this channel, Speed Gaming, there will be another heat with another set of 6 runners. Mellow Flows, Stunt Rooster, Mr. Otter, Guy Next Door, Green Mario, and Sage Hero will have their 3 hours in order to get the best time they can. And even more on Saturday after that.
A lot of really good runners in that heat too. That's gonna be a good mix of experienced runners. Runners all across the gambit from new runners to really, really experienced runners. So that'll be a fun one to watch. So no major hiccups through the Brightman stage. Just trying to have a clean boss fight here for Brian. And taking that, it seems, scripted flash there.
Yeah, that's just part of the route for Brian. Just plans on having that happen.
Yeah,
Looks like he's going to lose a little bit more time. 0.2.
Yeah, barely. All of his splits are just like this entire run has not varied by more than 6 seconds off of his PB, if that tells you anything.
On to Toad now. I feel like Brian didn't get like absolute phenomenal luck on like Square Machine, for example. There's still a handful of seconds that the game can just give you if you get a really lucky pattern there. So that's always worth playing for.
Yeah, I think he did get a 2-3 on Square Machine. On the refights, like he needs to be a little bit ahead to have a really good shot. His Wily Capsule also wasn't like super clean, so that's the other place where he can gain some time. But yeah, the refights, he's either going to be even or he's going to lose some time. Probably it's going to be very, very hard to not lose time on Wily 3 for him.
Is through Toadman stage. One little opening shot there. Doesn't actually deal damage, unfortunately.
Nice little swag there, though.
Toadman, of course, probably the easiest Robot Master in this game. Maybe any of the 6 NES Mega Man games. Just move a little bit away whenever he jumps and keep shooting him to interrupt his attacks.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of one that would be easier than Toadman, but it's kind of tough, to be honest. If we're talking Buster only, like, a lot of them are stupid free with their weakness.
Yeah, there's a couple of one-shots out there in some of the games. Wind on 6? I don't know. I've seen there's something called the Ultimate Decathlon, a competition of 10 speedrun events. And they had a category for Mega Man's 1 to 6, and you had to do 10 Robot Masters, one from each game. And Wind was like the best Buster only option for Mega Man 6, so that's what everyone did. And we saw a couple of deaths for sure over the course of the seasons. People trying to be really aggressive, getting too close when he's pulling people in. I think Toad definitely easier than Windman.
Yeah, HJA in chat would like it on record that he's definitely never died to Toadman.
You know, I wouldn't have known if he hadn't said anything. But I guess now I know that he definitely didn't die to Toadman. Do you think Toadman and Snake Man hang out?
So, I've heard that there's a possibility that they do, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay, that was not the answer I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, but not that, I guess.
So meanwhile, we have Brian moving into the Moth fight. Had a pretty clean stage on Cossack 1.
Here we go with Moth right. Immediately dips down. A really aggressive Moth here. Alright. Not a great pattern, but I think a good job dealing with it.
Yeah, I think he might actually save. Yeah, definitely saving time. Yeah, that was a very good Cossack 1.
Green numbers coming out of Cossack 1 is a good place to be more than halfway through the run. Of course, our good friend Square Machine is coming up, and it's also at the end of a pretty tough stage with some scary moments. Brian going to minimize some of those, not going for balloon strats in a lot of these rooms.
Yeah, and I don't think he's been going for those balloon strats the entire time. I think he's been incredibly not just consistent with his execution, but with his strats as well.
Not sure if he intended to take that hit. It certainly looked like it.
Yeah, I think probably he did. I think I've seen him take that hit in previous runs. I could be wrong.
There's so little danger of taking hits from other things throughout the stage that he's still like totally fine on health. Everyone else taking those damage boosts to slide across the spikes end up pretty low on health sometimes heading into Square Machine, but Brian's going to be able to take all the damage boosts here, sort of trading hits however he sees fit on the Square Machine fight. Opening up with a 3 pattern. Yeah, standing on the right edge of the platform so the damage boost doesn't knock him off. He gets a really easy 5 hits there.
Yep, nice 5-hitter. And another 3-2. So he should be just about even with his PB, his Heat PB anyway.
There it is. I think he might be a little ahead here. I forgot how long the fade it is. Okay.
Yeah, his PB time anyway, or his time against his PB.
Mhm.
So yeah, he lost 0.3 seconds is all. So pretty much. So doing his validation sequence there. So now we get to watch the auto scroller, which it's not difficult until it is. There have been massive heartbreaks on the stage. It's happened to me. It's happened to pretty much everybody who's probably run this game. So it's not.
Yeah.
You've definitely got to be careful.
You say as Brian is sliding around like crazy in a one-tile gap.
And Brian just takes the intentional hit from the squishy. Health isn't really a concern in this stage. It's all about just not falling. It's pretty hard to lose all your health in this stage, to be honest. You've got to almost be trying.
Yeah, even like with the boss fight, you're probably gonna get hit once, maybe twice if your charge shots are not on point. Well, a health drop though, that could be a cause for death, eating one of your jump inputs all of a sudden.
Yeah, and Brian, interestingly, didn't charge his Pharaoh shot out of the pause menu. I guess he just plans on taking the Pharaoh refill no matter what. Or maybe he's just going to sacrifice the one Pharaoh ammo and not worry about it too much. I guess that could be a strat. I wonder if having 2 of those Saturns on screen causes lag, though.
I wonder. It's a little hard to tell. Alright, here we go with the roaches. Brian's got a strat here where he will go for I thought he was going to go for the diagonal, but there's a hit right here that he doesn't go for. Just nice and careful.
Yeah, and that has been his strat the entire heat, right there. And he's never wavered, never missed it. So he's been pretty consistent on that. And he gained some time there, actually.
Shelny reporting that even having no rings on screen causes the game to lag, the auto-scrolling feature, I guess. So yeah, they would exacerbate that being on screen at least a little. I guess it couldn't be too much, because... Or maybe he lagged them even more on the previous run, and maybe that explains where this half a second time saves came from? Not sure.
Yeah, possibly.
Cossack 4 is a pretty tame stage. There's a little bit of trickiness to this part here with the balloon. This is a much safer strat to get up here. Not going for any kind of safety E-tank.
Yeah, with the level of consistency he's been playing at, especially being through the Cossack stages, I don't think health is probably going to be a concern for him. It's probably just going to be how fast can he make it through these last few stages. I believe I did read that he said before the heat that he got a 40.01 and a 40.02 back-to-back in practice for this. So, I mean, that's right in line with the paper that we've been seeing.
Yeah. That, I'm not surprised, right? Like, if you had told me, like, hey, there's this person in 4 hours just produced, like, 5 runs within 10 seconds of each other, I would have been like, wow. But after having seen Brian play for 3 hours, I'm like, yeah, of course he did.
And unfortunately, he did get off schedule a little bit there on the boss. He's probably going to lose a little bit of time to that. Oh, just a tad. Maybe not.
Still ahead, heading into the Wily stages. It's about 3/4 of the way through the run. We can all appreciate the eyebrows together. Are we going to see Rush Marine again? I feel like we are.
I'd say there's a very strong possibility that Rush Marine is going to make a final appearance here.
Some really careful shots on these Mets, not tinking any bullets or anything.
Yeah, this is one of the hardest screens in the game, in my opinion, to do just absolutely clean. It just requires a lot of counterintuitive movement and jumps and shots. So, at least for me, it's one of the hardest ones.
Here it is.
The
Fully
Rush
controlled movement underwater. Cab should have, an emote where you call in Rush Marine. There it is. Make the call. 1-800 Rush Marine. Mr. Cab did pretty well in his heats. He's another very consistent runner. Now that I think about it, I was saying, like, Brian, like, maybe the most consistent, but Mr. Cab as well. Produced a number of really good runs, all really close to each other. Buster opener on Met Daddy, like we saw before.
Unfortunately, gets bad RNG on that second cycle. It's good
there we
RNG.
One more. Nice.
That last shot's sometimes a little bit tight, but he got it, and he's going to save a little time there.
Looking for that fade out. There it is. 3.7 seconds ahead.
Now, I do believe his Wily 2 and his PB was pretty good. And the other thing is, he doesn't do the hitbox despawn on Taco Trash. So that fight gets a little bit scary when he's been doing it.
Yeah, that's a place to save or lose time here for sure.
this menu.
Very easy to overlook the importance of good menuing, right? Like even if you're not making the wrong menu option or whatever, just your delays, your tiny little delays, and when you start moving and in between inputs and all that, it can add up. I would say like maybe like 10 to 20 seconds over the course of a run between an amateur and an expert in terms of menuing.
Oh yeah, definitely. But so far, that missed menu is the only thing that's really not looked optimal from him on the stage as far as his strats go.
Bustering that the one gumball guy from afar is, you're not moving forwards there for a little bit, so it is some time lost. But like you said, those are his strats, the way that he's planning to do it, so compared to his previous run, don't think it's going to save or lose any time. It's Taco Trash here that's going to make the difference. This is a great start to this fight.
Very nice fight. That's probably going to make up for that missed menu.
Bam.
Yeah, definitely. Very nice fight there.
4.3 seconds. Heading into the refights here. He's named his split Wily Machine 4. And so I just saw Wily 4, and my brain was just very briefly like, oh, he's on the last level. But no, not quite.
Now that would be something at 34 minutes.
Only grabbing 2 refills for his dust here. Alright, making the drop. Yeah, Brian does Buster at least one of the 2 bosses, and it looks like he's heading into Skull first, so it must be Pharaoh.
Buster's Pharaoh. He takes the same damage, scripted damage on Brightman in the refights as he does on the initial boss fight.
Good Skullman fight. Very short period when he had the shield up. Just what you want to see. And here, he's trying to stay far away from Brightman because he knows he's going to get flashed, and he doesn't want to be in range of a jump, but looks like he is. Oh, I'm scared. I'm scared for his health.
That's not good.
No jump.
That's
no jump.
not good. Okay. Wow, that was scary.
I feel like if Brightman jumped, I think he would have reached, and I think he would have killed.
Oh, definitely. Brightman can jump all the way across the screen. I think he's just less likely to jump if you're further away from him.
Hoping for no dives here on Drillman. Really good so far.
Yeah, Drillman being super nice. Let's go.
And even just like across all the runs across the 3 hours, I feel like significantly above average luck on Drillman for everyone.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
All right, didn't block the shot there, so he did get hit, but he's so confident he's not even going to get the refill on the way out. Yeah, Rush Marine, that's what you want for this next boss.
Rush Marine making one last very brief appearance.
You'd think it might have some kind of role in a fight against Toadman, right? Like maybe he's a little bit underwater, I don't know. He's amphibious.
Well, you get it from him, so I guess it could be his own weakness.
Yeah, there you go. Let me tell you about my Mega Man 4 ROM hack I'm working on, where Toadman's weak to Rush Marine.
Right?
Alright, that Ringman fight was really good. Boss Buster out for Pharaoh here.
Missed the shot due to a troll jump there from Pharaoh. Pharaoh Man not being very nice with RNG so far. Being very not nice, actually.
Very jumpy. Well, he can very easily just stand here doing the charge shot over and over and over again, but not even close.
That was some bad luck on Pharaoh. Hopefully it's not enough to take away the PB, but we'll see.
All right. Final refight here. A bit of Buster shots before switching to ring, trying to preserve some of the ammo. 1 missed shot. 2 missed shot. 3 missed shots. He needs to finish this guy.
Okay. So he got lucky and didn't get punished with a suck there. But he's gotta really cruise on this wily machine fight to keep pace.
Here we go. Small delay there, having to wait for that projectile to go by. Takes 1 hit. A couple of those are okay. Going with some damage boosts there, trading hits. He has the health to do it. I like it. Fantastic second phase.
Very, very nice machine fight there. He's going to be just about even, and his wily capsule fight last time had some room for improvement, so he could definitely still get it here.
Oh, it's going to be close. This is exciting. What a final run we've been treated to here by Brian.
Yeah, and if he does get an improvement here, he breaks the tie with me, actually.
Oh, that's right. This is the time to weaponize the power of the commentator's curse, if ever there was a time.
No, I want to see it. I want to see him improve it. He's played so well today. He deserves it.
All right, let's see if he can get it. No chance for a double down there.
Oh, he misses the double.
Oh. All right.
Very nice. 39.57 for Brian. Get your GGs out. What a clutch last run.
Breaking that 40-minute barrier. Us speedrunners love those nice round numbers and breaking those milestones too. So certainly an amazing run. How close to PB even? It's like 12 seconds off his PB. Or shorter, maybe more like 10. Fantastic.
Yeah, very, very well played the entire way through for Brian there. And what a heat. We saw Brian kind of set the early pace and then break it right at the end. So it all came full circle.
Yeah, I need to update my little notes here. I was going to recap everyone's final times before we sort of wrapped up and said goodbye, and I would have said the wrong thing because Brian just improved his time. He is our top finisher for this heat, though again we are looking at everyone's times across all the heats and top cutting to the 32, so it's not like a certain number per each heat. Move on, but Brian, all the same, of this heat, is the fastest run at a 39.57. Next up was Orel with 40.32, followed closely behind by Hypa with a 40.45, Debu with a 41.27, and Carter Freak with a 42.04. I think all of them have a shot to qualify, but that 41-ish minute mark is starting to get kind of crowded now.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of times come in that 40-minute range and the 41-minute range. Then you have a few at the 42 and 43s. But yeah, it's looking like, if I had to guess, I'm going to say somewhere in the 41s is going to be the cutoff.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking too. We're just going to have to find out if you want to see how the rest of the qualifiers go. Check the schedule, but I can tell you at 10 p.m. tonight, in about 2 hours and 10 minutes, we'll have another heat, the dive heat. You can check out Mellow Flows, Stunt Rooster, Mr. Otter, Guy Next Door, Green Mario, and Sage Hero will be competing in that heat. And more again on Saturday and Sunday. And I can't wait to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch these last few heats, especially when you start having people on the bubble. You start kind of wondering, who's going to get knocked out, who's going to stay in. It's going to be fun.
Coming up on Speed Gaming, they're in between. Yeah, there's going to be Super Mario Brothers Warpless tournament happening. So stay tuned for that in about an hour. And then all kinds of stuff happening all over all the Speed Gaming channels all the time. So ! Schedule will help you find that stuff. I've been Mythical9. Antlers, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been really fun. I appreciate everyone watching, and thank you to everyone who's set this up, and to you for the co-commentary, and also obviously the runners for putting on a great show.
Yeah, the runners command is not going to put all of the runners from today's heat into chat, so I'll type them out shortly if you want to follow those runners. But absolutely, congratulations to them. Impressed by what everyone was able to do. Best of luck to all the future competitors, and I guess everyone have a nice day, and hope to see you back here in a couple hours for more Mega Man 4.